It's Schaeffer and Sliwa. John Schaeffer.
When you think about the city of San Diego, some of the worst ownership groups with the Clippers situation, with the Chargers situation, even the Padres ownership.
San Diego's own Alan Sliwa.
I felt like we went through a stage of baseball where everything was so predetermined. Why even have a manager? What's the point of having a manager?
Here's Schaeffer and Sliwa.
All right, San Diego and Southern California. This is day 2 of Schaeffer and Sliwa on San Diego Sports 760 with you for the next 3 hours each and every week.
3 hours?
Yeah, they did.
Okay.
They did confirm it's going to be 3 hours.
Okay.
Would you prefer longer or shorter?
I think we're good at 3.
I think 3 is.
We did it,
I think
man.
3 is the right length for a.
We made it to.
We made it to
day 2.
Tony Gwynn opening day, man. We made it to day 2.
Made it to day 2.
I don't know if that was ever in question. Maybe it was.
I will tell you this, man. Day 2 is so much easier.
Yeah, it's
than
like,
day
you know
1.
what, dude?
Jeez,
You
now
know-
I can kick back, relax. We can
shoot
shoot the. You know what?
You're right.
I changed my position of where I'm sitting.
Yes, you're sitting in a different spot in the studio.
It's a better angle.
Yes,
better angle
I think
for us.
this is going to be
this is
better.
good.
We've got today, friend of the station, Tim Hagerty, longtime voice of the Padres AAA team. We'll talk about state of the Padres system, his thoughts on the start of the year in the major leagues, his thoughts on some of the top prospects in the organization like Ethan Salas. So Tim Hagerty will join us coming up at 3:30. We have great giveaways, Sesame Place tickets to give away, Charlie Puth tickets to give away as well. To your point, though, on opening day, it's like everyone knows the feeling of their first day in a job, their first day of a new school year. You kind of are waiting for like the normalcy and the routine.
You got to get that one.
That's how baseball is. And we said this Thursday when we were downtown, because you were with me downtown on Thursday. We said everyone's going to react very strongly to what happens in this game. They might win it by a lot of runs, be like, oh, wow, this team, this is it. Or they might lose like they did on Thursday and be like, there's something going on.
Or they might
here.
lose in the first 15 minutes of the game.
And trail 4-0 like they did on Thursday. The truth is, baseball, like what we're doing, it's a soap opera. It is a marathon. That's not just a cliche. It is. And it's over the course of 162, obviously. So with that being said, they're 4 games in.
Yep.
We just touched on this briefly with Sammy. Yeah, it has not been great. I mean, and that's to put it lightly. I mean, you could go further than that. Maybe you will. It has not been great. And it does matter, but there's still 158 in front of them. So I'm with you, what you just said with Sammy, which is like, I mean, there's a lot of expectation. There's, you're 6 months waiting for this. And then you come out of the gates at home at Petco in front of 45,000 people and you're 1-3. So I'm hoping for a better beginning here tonight, because there'll be a point where I'm concerned. I don't know if I would say today I'm concerned. I do think it's fair. And sometimes it's worse here. It's like when my wife says, or if I say to my son, like, I'm not mad at you, I'm disappointed. That's probably worse. So maybe we're just disappointed in their 1-3 start.
Yeah, I think disappointed. That's right. But if you're going to use a term, you're disappointed. And I got kind of a difficult time with this. The whole don't overreact.
Right.
I'm not good at that.
Okay.
Because I think there is a little bit of. Let me give an example. Let's just. By the time we get to, let's say 1 month into the season.
Okay.
How do you kind of have an idea? Like if I'm going to give you it's a good example because I think every sport has a different
benchmark.
Okay. So in basketball, you're typically going to say, I kind of know what the team is about 25% in, a quarter of the season in. Now that can change. There's plenty of examples of teams that start off awful and then they come back. I mean, Clippers started out 6-21
and have been really good since.
And other teams that have dropped off, whatever the case is. For baseball, what's kind of your typical, and this is your, for how many years you've been around baseball covering it, what's typically your, I have a good idea what this team is?
I always thought there were 3 benchmarks in a major league season. Now, I think maybe it's changed with the advent of more wild cards. Because back in the day, it was you can't win the pennant in April, but you can lose it. You can no longer lose the pennant in April by and large. Barring a
wild card has changed. Wild card has changed. You are right about that, which, by the way, has given, I mean, if there's a market that benefits more from the wild card,
it's San Diego.
It's the San Diego Padres.
Because of the division. But by and large, assuming you don't have the worst record in baseball through 30 games, the worst record in baseball through 30 games is not making the playoffs. You start 4-24 or whatever, you're done. You're cooked. But you go 10-12, 22 games in, you're not cooked.
No,
you're
not
2
at
games
all.
out of a playoff spot.
Yeah, no, you're fine that.
I think there's 3 markers: Memorial Day, July 4th, Labor Day. those are let's look up. Now, we're going to do it each and every day in what we do. And on social media, people do it each and every day. But the truth is, if on Memorial Day, we can't just be like, our next show's Memorial Day. In fact, we're probably off. But if I look up on Memorial Day and they're a game out of a playoff spot, that's a good indicator. I mean, as in it tells you where you are. If you're 9 out, that's darn concerning. And if you're 9 up, wow, you've played well for 6 or 7 weeks. Then again, I think the 4th of July, you're trending towards the trade deadline. So you have a feel for what are these teams going to be doing. And then I think by Labor Day, stretch run. Like are you in it or not come Labor Day? So to me, I've always looked at it like that. Maybe it's changed, but yeah, it feels like you should have a feel. Like we might look up at the end of the first road trip. There'll be 12 games in. 12 games in basketball is a good percentage. 12 games in football is a massive percentage, right? But 12 games in for the Padres, let's say they're 4-8.
Nothing started. Yeah.
They've only played 4 of the 29 opponents they'll play in the year. They'll play 29 opponents. And 12 games in if they're 4-8. And I hope they're not. I hope they're 6-6 or better off the 1-3 start. But they've played 4 of 29 opponents. Is that really a true indicator 12 games in? I would say it's probably too early.
Do you know the bigger problem is? The bigger problem is it's not just, I don't think every loss or every win is created equal. I think there is a little bit of, all right, how'd you win? Okay, how'd you lose?
Yep.
Has there really been a moment this season, again, 4 games in, but has there been a moment this season where you're like, damn, that was a really well-played baseball game. They looked good the entire way. It's kind of just been, there's been no energy behind it. Yep. You know, I think offensively, the struggles that they've had offensively has been, I mean, who's played well offensively? Ramon Laureano?
Ramon Laureano, who is out of the lineup here today.
Which we're not 100% sure why.
10 minutes ago, I wasn't sure as to why. If someone knows, because we're doing a show, let us know.
But Laureano, you could say, is the only player that you can really look at and say, okay, hey, the kind of building off of before his injury last season. We obviously know how devastating that was going into the wild card series. But he's the only player that you can look at. Jackson Merrill finally getting a 2-run homer yesterday. You know, they had 2 hits through the first 26 outs, right? Because the 2-run homer came.
Correct.
Just nothing. So I think go back to the Tigers series in the first game. Before you and I sat down, turned on the microphone and said, welcome to the 2026 baseball season. They were down 4-0. So they were already out of that game.
Then 6-0, then 8-0.
So my point is it's not just losing games. Okay, how did you lose? If this is a close back and forth, which you could say game 2 was, but then the Tigers took over in the 8th inning, had a couple of chances, but you know, they separated in the 8th and that's it. The game was over and had some opportunities in that game. I think how you lose has also got something to do with it. And like I said, it's been a disappointing start. And you said something yesterday, which was kind of ironic. And I thought about it as the game was going on. And I got angry at you yesterday because you were right about it. and that part was very annoying.
I said, I'm scared about this Giants series.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
0-3.
They went 0-3 and scored 1 run in 3 games.
And they did it at home with the Netflix game and all the attention. They probably just wanted to get out of Dodge.
But you were right. You were right about that. And then, you know, Logan Webb, who the Padres got tonight, gave up 6 runs against the Yankees. Do you think Logan Webb is having another one of those games tonight?
No.
Probably not.
No, I don't. And it's an interesting point. You know, we say this all the time in sports. It's not who you play. I say this all the time with Aztecs basketball. It's not who you play. You know who you're playing. You play the teams in your league. I mean, the Lakers know who they're playing. They play the teams in the NBA. They play more in the West than in the East. But it's when are you playing these teams? Are you catching Indiana when... You know, catching Boston with Jason Tatum or without? Are you catching Indiana? They're terrible now, but you know what I mean.
I know
it's when you're playing someone. I say it all the time.
What teams are hottest? What teams are due?
Yeah, and with San Francisco, they probably were not going to start the season 0-6, and they came here 0-3. So the odds suggested they would win a game or 2, and now the odds suggest that they'll likely win the series. Now we'll see. Maybe the Padres can beat Logan Webb and win the series. But the conversation we had. And by we, I mean I was having on San Diego Sports 760 before this show started, Schaeffer Sliwa, was this idea that when you have a WBC year, and maybe there's just a coincidence, because in 2023 it was a WBC World Baseball Classic year. Padres had all the expectations in the world, and they fell flat on their face that year. I mean, they were well under 500 for most of the year. And now here again, they told us this offseason, we'll have a better plan in place to deal with the WBC, what it means for the roster, what it just means day in and day out, whatever that even means. And here we are, again, small sample size, but the only sample size that we have.
Yeah, we're just working off of what we've seen.
And Machado, Tatis, Bogarts, others all in the WBC. And it does feel like a little bit like they're slow to start the season. Like, I don't know if it's a hangover effect or what it is. And I don't know if it has anything to do with the WBC or more to do with their opponents so far. But for whatever reason, and the game within the game, last night, in a 3-2 loss, Fernando Tatis Jr. takes a pitch out of the zone in the ninth inning with a challenge to use, nowhere near the strike zone. If it was called a strike to make the count 2-2, if he would have challenged it, it would have been 3-1. If he reaches and Merrill homers, we're still playing. The game potentially is 3-3. We'll never know. And he just sits there and watches this pitch go by, nowhere near the strike zone, with 1 out or 2 outs to work with in the ninth inning, and doesn't use the challenge. Can't take it with you. It's just like, are we ready to go? The season has already started. Are we recognizing that? The season has already started. Let's act like the season has started.
That's interesting. That ninth inning. Why aren't you challenging?
I have no idea. Because, hey, we're 4 days in and I don't really understand the complexities of it. And I just didn't challenge.
Yeah, I know Machado yesterday, a couple of quotes, had said something to the effect. Initially, he said he doesn't want to challenge. And then yesterday, it was, well, if it's like obvious, he's going to challenge. By the way, help me understand that. Like, what's the reason of not wanting to? Nobody's going to have a better idea of the plate than the batter, other than the catcher, right?
Correct.
So if you're at the plate and it's you want to call it key moment, whatever the case is, you're not worried about it because it's the ninth. It's the same thing in, the NBA. You get 2 challenges.
Yep.
There's no coach in the NBA that's not challenging with 1.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter if he has a challenge. Because what is he going to do with it?
Yeah, especially in a 2-point game.
Every coach in the NFL or in NBA, they're going to use their timeouts if they have it. Like, you can't take it away, especially in the first half or whatever the case is. That doesn't make any sense. But I like what you said there. Like, you guys ready to go? Again, no one's saying that a season is determined in the first week or the first month. But are you ready to go? I think that's a good way to put it. Like, you got off to a start. You mentioned this to me, and I think it's so revealing. They had 3 losses last season, 17 games in. They have 3 losses this season, 4 games in. Yeah. They started 14-3 last year. Clearly, they were ready to go last year, and it's that start that got them into the wild card.
Right.
And obviously, we see how this affects the Padres.
Yeah, I mean,
we just kind of laid into a team that's 4 games in.
Not really, but I will say, like,
we're not messing around here, Brett.
I wish someone would go to Tatis postgame and be like, I wish someone would just ask, like, why did you not challenge that? Were you just not aware that you had one? That's on you. Like I said, the season started. If the rules have changed, you need to know them. If you think you should challenge a pitch in the ninth inning, when you represent bringing the tying run to the plate, and the difference between 2 balls and 2 strikes and 3 balls and 1 strikes is about 200 percentage points on reaching base. You see what I'm saying? Like, when the count's 3-1, you got a 20% better chance of reaching first base than you do when the count is 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Plus, he has nothing to lose. But it's not like basketball. If you call a timeout and you don't have one, and it's attack. If he calls for it, and you don't have one, then nothing
you don't
happens.
lose anything. The count's just 2-2. We'll hear from Craig Stammen, what he had to say after game 1 of the series against the Giants, and Tim Hagerty, longtime voice of the Padres AAA team, the El Paso Chihuahuas. He'll join us coming up in about 15 minutes. We've got great giveaways today. We're here until 6 p.m. at Schaeffer and Sliwa. Stay with us on San Diego Sports 760. We're live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, Schaeffer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760 on this Tuesday afternoon. Tim Hagerty, longtime voice of the Padres AAA team, the El Paso Chihuahuas. In my opinion, one of the better names in minor league baseball. There's a lot. I've always been a Chihuahuas guy.
Yeah.
Are you a dog guy?
Love dogs.
Love dogs.
Oh, amazing.
But like, where are Chihuahuas? Like, are they in your top 10 breeds?
We're just being honest with each other here. Yeah. Probably not in the top 10.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
I don't know enough. I just the perception I have of a Chihuahua.
They bark a lot.
Yeah, I have this like they're basically attacking your ankle, and I have a golden retriever.
Oh yeah, that's
so
great,
that
right?
relationship is like
Brent. What kind of dog?
My buddy,
Boston Terrier.
He's got a Boston Terrier.
Okay.
I like the ones. What are the pug?
Pugs.
I like a good pug.
Yeah, solid.
I like a good pug. I don't know if El Paso is going to change the team name though.
Yeah, and listen, I'm not trying to, I don't want Chihuahua owners to come after me and say, hey, I don't have a relationship with it. I don't have a history with Chihuahuas.
I love the logo and I like the name. I like the word Chihuahua. I think it's a great name.
Yeah, that's phenomenal.
Anyway, make sure to catch the Final Four also this Saturday on San Diego Sports 760. Our coverage begins at noon. We'll hear from Craig Stammen coming up. Again, John Schaeffer, Alan Sliwa with you, and Tim Hagerty, voice of the Chihuahuas, will join us in about 10 minutes. You and I have both commented on how there's going to be similarities and differences between the previous manager of the Padres, Mike Schild, and the current manager of the Padres in Craig Stammen. Have you sensed that or felt that so far, 3 or 4? Like what do you see as the differences? Is it how they speak with the media?
This is the part where it's so early.
Right.
How the hell am I going to tell? I will say this with Schild, and every time I would listen to, because I'd listen to a lot of you guys, whether, obviously it was this show, just in general, I was consuming a lot of Padres content. And last couple of years, I felt like most of the media, it felt, didn't like the Mike Schild answers and how he would, steer away from probably the honesty and the truth. I never had an issue with it. Now, I didn't have an issue with it because I always felt like, well, there's a reason why he's doing it. And at the end of the day, Mike Schild was winning games and he was getting the Padres in the playoffs. So for me, that's like, I don't care how you get there as long as you get there. But I always noticed it was something that was, let's just say it was frustrating, it felt like, for a lot of reporters and people that would cover the team, because he just never really felt like you were going to get a true, honest answer from him. And I know why he was doing it. He's like, look, whatever I tell you guys is one thing. The conversations I'm having with my players is all I really care about. And that was his style. And he was very successful at it. I'm not sure if I'm able to tell yet. And maybe, as we play this clip or we play some clips, there seems to be less BSing with the current manager compared to Mike Schild. I don't know if you agree with that, but I feel like that's the vibe that I get.
I agree on both fronts, as in I probably prefer what Craig Stammen is saying, but I'd rather prefer him finding a way to win 90 games.
That's all that matters.
Team.
Yeah,
I don't care if I love what he says and they go 66 and 96.
Every time somebody would complain about Mike Schild, which is fine, you complain about him. Maybe he's not your preference. Maybe you don't like this, you don't like that, or a player is struggling and he's not publicly going after that player. Every time I would hear that in my head, I'm like, yeah, but look at the resume. He's getting you back to the postseason. Is that not all that matters? And that's really all that matters. Or at least it should matter.
This was Craig Stammen yesterday. I think he was fairly honest with how this all played out yesterday in the first 4 games of the year. We don't need to play the entirety of this, Brent, but this is a portion of what Craig Stammen had to say with the media after last night's loss to the Giants.
Yeah, started off pretty good. Looked pretty sharp. Just gave up that home run to Bader on the hanging curveball. And then the 4th inning, got 2 outs and then, a couple C&I singles, kind of did him in there. But, overall solid, not spectacular.
In terms of the Padres' offensive struggles against Roop, what would you kind of attribute that to?
Yeah, I attribute him to making a lot of good pitches. Looked like he had a good, sinker going, 95, mile an hour sinker with a good sweeper, and then he had his changeup and his cutter that he used a little bit more than we were expecting. So he did a pretty good job out there against us.
That was kind of be my question. Did he look like? I mean, he's had good games against you before, but did he look like a different pitcher?
I don't know about a different pitcher. I mean, I guess looking back, I don't really, recall all those games against us. but he's got good stuff. He's got stuff that matches up well against some of our hitters. So, we knew it was going to be a tough day. He made his pitches today. We were hoping, we'd get a few more mistakes, and he just kind of limited the mistakes, limited the damage.
I know you guys were pleased with the approach throughout the Tiger series. What did you think tonight at the plate?
Yeah, I think today, we had a game plan going in, and he kind of, changed up the game plan on us. He did, a few things a little bit different than what we were expecting. I think we were expecting a few more sinkers, and he threw a lot less of them from my perspective than what, we were kind of expecting.
Obviously, relatively small sample, but what do you make of kind of the offense as a whole through these first 4 games and kind of maybe the lack of it?
Yeah, I feel like we're hitting the ball on the screws at times, and we're not getting rewarded for it. And, that maximizes when we have a few empty at-bats also. We just need some of those hard hit balls to kind of fall in. And, today was definitely a struggle. We didn't hit too many hard as we had in the previous 3 games. But that guy, he threw the ball good tonight. Pitching's, in the big leagues is tough. And, we got to be able to battle every single day and scratch a few runs across. And, today just wasn't our day until that last inning.
Honestly, Alan, I kind of like his style more than Mike Schultz. But again, I
make
like
the difference. Because you're listening to Mike Schultz and talking about him every single day for 200 and 300 games plus the postseason and everything else. Give me the differences.
The difference, Schultz would have told you would have thought they won 9-3 last night if Mike Schultz was giving that post-game press conference. It was, man, they're fighting, and you got to tip your cap, but we're right there, and trust me, we're about to break through. And let me tell you about Manny. What you guys don't see is what I do. You know what I mean? Like, he just, like, effusive praise when it's not even required or necessary, like coming off losses, where Stamage is like, now, I don't hear a guy that necessarily is inspiring to me. Now, he might be different with his team.
Why not be?
But he might not. That to me is not
stylistically,
right?
Yeah.
It's a little, like, dry.
It is dry.
But I kind of prefer what he's saying to what Mike Schultz was saying. But to your point, the end result is the end result.
Well, let's say this, because he said a couple things. He said that Walker Buehler was, I'm trying to think his exact words. He said good, not great. If not those exact words, but he described that it wasn't a phenomenal night, but it also wasn't the worst night he's ever had. I thought what he said too I thought it was interesting what he said about what they thought they were going to see from the Giants pitcher yesterday versus what they actually saw. Here's what we game planned for, but that's not what he did. So you're right that there's some vulnerability there. Here's exactly what happened. Here's the truth. And for us, this is good. For reporters out there, for writing articles, it's all good. The question, the question at the end of the day is, it doesn't matter what he says and how he explains what went well and what didn't go well. Your player's playing for you. Is there, like you said, whether maybe sense of urgency is not the right way to put it, an inspiring manager that you have? We're not going to know that for a while. And whether we love the style or we don't know the style, we got some time to figure out, what type of manager he's going to be.
I think we're going to find the biggest difference between the two when they have a game that they blew. I always bring up that game against the Rockies when they blew that, what was it, like a 6-run lead or whatever it was in the 8th or the 9th. And then Schultz just got all mad that people asked him about it. That's what I want to see. I want to see how he acts when they've, blew a 3-run lead in the 9th or something like that. That's when we're going to see the main difference.
What are we supposed to see? I'm curious.
Honestly, because nothing, because no matter what he says, if it's bad, nobody's going to be happy with, and no matter what he says, if it's good, everyone's going to be content with. It is probably, and the only position in baseball that you're judged on wins and losses is basically a manager. Even starting pitchers anymore, who care? Nobody knows the record of Paul Skeens.
Sure.
But we'll talk more about it. Tim, we're late to a break. Tim Hagerty, voice of the Chihuahuas, on the other side will join us. We'll catch up on the farm with the Padres with Tim Hagerty, longtime voice of the Chihuahuas, next on San Diego Sports 760.
This report is sponsored by America 250. The Padres and Giants have game 2 tonight from Petco Park. It's going to be Logan Webb going for the Giants and Herman Marquez going for the Padres. First pitch is set for 6:40. We have Lakers basketball again tonight on San Diego Sports 760 when they take on Cleveland. Pregame coverage will begin at 7:15 with a tip at 7:30. Calling all undergraduate students, what can you build for America's future? Your big idea could earn you $25,000 in grant funding and help shape the next 250 years of America. Submit today at america250.org. No purchase necessary. See official rules at america250.org.
All right, San Diego Sports 760, day 2, Schaeffer and Sliwa here on 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app. We're going to give away some tickets to see Charlie Puth, by the way, this hour. We did Sesame Place yesterday this hour. We'll give away tickets to see Charlie Puth at Viejas Arena in 3 weeks. Always great to connect with Tim Hagerty, longtime voice of the Padres AAA team, the El Paso Chihuahuas. And Tim, first of all, appreciate you taking time for us and hope you're doing well.
Yes, thanks for having me.
So a little bit like the Padres, like, do you have any feel in a short amount of time how a season is going to play out based on just 3 or 4 games? There's been a lot of reaction to the Padres, for example, off to a 1-3 start. I know the Chihuahuas just got underway. Do you have any feel for how the team will look based on just one series or a few games, or does it take longer than that?
That's a good question. I've determined no. One way or the other, you can't. I've learned at the AAA level and at the Major League level. There have been years that El Paso got out to a great start, and the season was not a winning season in the end. But then the year the Chihuahuas won the league championship, again that year 2-6, and they weren't hitting. The past couple of years, check out the standings in April, and for whatever reason, Pittsburgh is always off to a great start. I mean, Pittsburgh is like the story of the National League. You guys remember this? They'd start off and they'd be in first place, but they're not in the playoffs come October. So, in my opinion, the Padres nor the Chihuahuas' slow starts isn't predictive of what it might look like in the summer.
Tim, we were talking about this, just kind of trying to determine every sport is different. And for you, and I'm sure every opinion is different. When do you kind of get to a point of the season where you say to yourself, okay, I've got a pretty good idea of what this team is. I know what of course things can change, but just based off of X amount of games or this portion of the season, do I feel like I know what either the Padres have or the Chihuahuas have?
I remember a scout years ago in a press box telling me his barometer was Memorial Day. Once we get into late May, okay, you've had a good chunk
was
of
that
games.
Scout John Schaeffer?
Yeah, I just mentioned Memorial Day.
Oh, you did?
I
okay.
literally
The
just
same
mentioned
thing.
that. Yep.
I mean, I think it goes both ways. I don't think I'm just saying this solely because the Padres aren't off to a great start. I think you probably want to temper it if the Padres were 3-1,
Sure,
and not 1-3 for the same reason. So it can change so fast. I mean, any AAA team, any Major League team could rattle off 5 consecutive wins, and all of a sudden you feel totally different about the season. But I do think that I'm guilty of the same type of thing that you're describing, and understandably what some Padres fans might be feeling. I know, especially late in the season, especially the way the Padres the last couple of years, when they were narrowing toward a playoff spot, every win just feels so huge. It creates so much optimism. But then 2 losses in a row, especially if it's a team that you feel like you should beat, it feels like the sky is falling. But the wonderful thing about baseball is there's usually a game the next day.
no doubt about it. Tim Hagerty is with us right now, longtime voice of the Padres AAA affiliate, the El Paso Chihuahuas. So there's names that Padres fans are familiar with, obviously, that are playing right now for El Paso, including Sung-Moon Song, who was among the bigger acquisitions this offseason by A.J. Preller. And I know he's, I think, played in all 3 games so far this year. Again, these sample sizes aren't large, but what have you seen from Sung-Moon Song, who's expected, I would think, at some point to make his way back to the major leagues pretty soon?
He's hit well. His first 2 games in El Paso, he reached base multiple times. One of the 3 games that he played, he served as the DH. As I speak to you here in Tacoma tonight, he is playing, batting third, playing second base. So it's been fun to watch him. Seeing him up close, big, strong guy. As you saw in spring training, he had a few home runs. He has power. He's played both second and short for the Chihuahuas. So it's been fun to have him. It's kind of an interesting scenario. Like a lot of AAA teams, the Chihuahuas track how many major league debuts they have. Song is yet to play in a National League game, and he's here with El Paso and MLB rehab. So it's a decision to make. Is he going to be a new Chihuahua making his debut? I vote yes when it happens.
I'm curious to kind of just get the state of where the Padres are as far as their farm system. There was, and listen, I'm not using this as gospel, but MLB had a ranking. This was obviously before the season started. They put the Padres at 30th as far as their farm system goes. What is the state of the San Diego Padres in regards to some of the young crop? And of course, we know why the Padres are 30th. AJ Preller has been so active and doing whatever he can to try to give the Padres every opportunity, not just to make the postseason, but to compete for a World Series. Today, from your perspective, how does it look, and how, if the perception is they have the worst farm system in Major League Baseball, how quickly can that change?
I think it can change fast. I saw those rankings as well. I can think back to 2020 when the Padres had that really active deadline, when the deadline was in late August that year, and they had that huge deal with Seattle. They had another big deal with Cleveland. And I remember some of the prospect experts saying then how much the Padres gave up. Well, 5 years later, they had enough prospects to go get Mason Miller. So I do think things can replenish fast. And, I think the thing about the rankings as well is some of them will weight how many real upper level prospects you have. So I don't think that's as damaging as some people think it is. The Padres actually are maybe the team over the past 5 years that has shown how quickly that can change. So I have no doubt many of these Chihuahuas, like every year, will go up into the majors and contribute and help, and that there's more on the way below El Paso.
Tim Hagerty with us right now, longtime voice of the Padres AAA affiliate. Tim, what is your belief in terms of what the Padres are seeking to see from Jason Adam? It sounded like he was almost like a game time decision to make the opening day roster coming off injury, but maybe he wasn't at that point available to go back-to-back days or be stretched out beyond one inning. So I know he's already made one appearance. What have you seen, and what do the Padres hope to see before he's back up?
Yeah, he pitched very well, inning and a third scoreless for El Paso at Sacramento. I have to find out if he's scheduled to pitch here in Tacoma. My understanding is there were a few rehab pitchers in the mix, but the problem is here in Tacoma, it's going to be in the 40s and raining.
Gotcha.
And those pitchers may go to a different affiliate. So I don't know if he's scheduled to pitch here in tonight's game, but another person I'm hearing that is close to making minor league rehab starts is Griffin Canning as a starter. Whether that's with El Paso or somebody else, we'll see. So, and Matt Waldron had 3 scoreless innings on opening night. He pitched a rehab start in the Chihuahuas' first game of the year. He was outstanding, struck out 4, didn't walk anybody. So definitely some arms close to rejoining San Diego there, whether it's a starter or a reliever.
One more, Tim, before you go, that just came to the top of my head. Just Ethan Salas. First of all, I don't even know this. I should know this. Where's Salas start of the year?
My understanding is he's going to start at AA San Antonio, having played just 10 games last year. AAA begins before the other affiliates. I don't know if that's officially the case, though.
Gotcha. Yeah. So what do you think with Salas? No matter what he does, he just needs to stay healthy, right? Like this year is all about his health in 2026, right?
Definitely. And he remains so young. He remains at an age that guys are just getting started at college baseball, and he's at AA. Yeah. So absolutely, that the health is for him. And I was at Padres spring training, and the word from people on the player development side was total optimism for him and his health. I know that there was some talk maybe should he go play winter ball and get more games in, but they decided to rest his body, so he's ready to go. So, yeah, and it's funny. It feels like he's had some speed bumps, but with that young age, he still could get to the majors as a very young catcher.
100%. Tim, appreciate you taking time for us. We know you're on the call tonight, Tacoma and El Paso from the state of Washington. So we appreciate you doing it. Have a great 2026. We'll catch up with you once the season gets in full swing. All right.
Thank you, Tim.
Well, sounds great. Thank you both.
All right. Great stuff from Tim Hagerty with the Chihuahuas. All right. On the other side,
A little optimism there, by the way.
Yeah,
Being able to
absolutely.
kind of, change things around a little bit with the farm system. I mean,
and which
'cause-
I think AJ Preller has proven he can do.
and it's tough because once you look at, and it's such a key component to how the Padres have built these last couple of years, you want to still be able to go back to your farm system. Of course, you want to crop your own players. Of course, that's important. Of course, there's so many advantages to having guys come from whether it's AAA, AA, whatever the case is. But that is a concern because when you show the rankings and you got the Padres at the absolute bottom, you are saying to yourself, even if you want to go make moves come the trade deadline, do you have what it takes? Are other teams stockpiled and like you already used all the bullets that you had last season or the last couple of years? Of course, that's something to think about.
It's a big concern, I would say, in 2026. All right. On the other side, we'll give away these Charlie Puth tickets for 3 weeks from now at Viejas Arena. Plus, we'll switch gears. What could have been in San Diego?
God, don't tell me.
We'll explain
No.
coming up next on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, Schaeffer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760. We're giving away tickets to see Charlie Puth perform the national anthem at the Super Bowl. We're giving away tickets to see him at Viejas Arena April 22nd, just over 3 weeks from now. We'll do that in the next 5 or 10 minutes. Plus, coming up, we're going to hear from Mark Cuban. Does he regret selling the Dallas Mavericks? And what can we learn from that here in San Diego with the Padres about to be sold? But we both saw this, Alan.
Yeah.
This, it's officially official. This is not a surprise. The Super Bowl is going back to Las Vegas. Been there once, that crazy overtime game between the Chiefs and the Niners that the Chiefs won a couple of years ago. NFL officially announcing within the last 24 hours that the Super Bowl in 2029 will be at Allegiant Stadium. And we kind of had this conversation briefly off air yesterday. We're like, and again, it's not to cry over spilled milk, because sometimes it's like what's done is done. The Chargers left a decade ago, nearly. I mean, 9 years is a long time, right? But it's like if they were still here, that's the type of announcement you're getting here. There were 3 Super Bowls here. Now they're coming in greater regularity in Los Angeles and Las Vegas, right? Like 3 out of the first 50 in San Diego. Okay, that's not every 5 or 6 years. But if they would have gotten the stadium, it would have been in that Allegiant SoFi rotation, seemingly. And again, it's like, all right, it's been 9 years, probably time to move on. But it still remains, I think, frustrating.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't think no matter how long it is, I think the move on thing is just impossible.
Right.
So because you can read a story like this and see that, all right, it's going to Vegas, or look how much SoFi has had there. I'm a firm believer of this. And I think the question is going to be, how can we all learn from it? How can the city learn from it? How can we potentially use that as, some bait down the road to try to get either whatever league that it is. There's plenty of opportunity in San Diego, and you and I will always have these conversations, and I'm a firm believer in that. But yeah, you are right. And I'm sure part of the calculation of Stan Kroenke when he's building SoFi is, how can I also make sure I don't have to compete with San Diego? Because there was a time where, having a Super Bowl in San Diego was kind of like a no-brainer. Where the hell would you rather want to be than San Diego, California? Not only do you have now that stadium up in Los Angeles, but you also don't have anything competing with you in San Diego, California. And whether it was going to be the World Cup or the Olympics or all that, and I know we're going to have some events that are going to be here, but at the end of the day, you can only do so much at Snapdragon Stadium. So I think when you go back to it and you say, well, what could have been, but here's what I would tell you. I would say that, okay, well, like you said, it was 9 years ago. And for most people, for me, it still feels like it was yesterday. And I was getting some compliments and we put out yesterday of some people welcome me on the show and this and that. And one of his handles was Dean Spano sucks. That was his handle.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that's a great handle.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to connect with that because, like most San Diegans will, I think the one thing you could take away from it is, let's use Midway Rising as an example. I don't know what's going to happen there. I wish this wasn't even a conversation. We're already on our way to building an arena there, because I do believe if you build an arena there, something's going to happen. You're not building a 16,000 seat stadium without having some type of an idea of saying, will the NBA consider another team back in San Diego? Or probably, I would say even more likely, would the NHL say, we would love to have San Diego part of the mix? Well, you know what would happen if that was the case? Then all of a sudden you are going to get a potential all-star game in the NHL. You might get some other things that are attached to it, but you got to build it first. When you say what could have been or what can we learn from, I'm looking at this thing in Las Vegas. San Diego is open for business. It needs to be open for business. And the moment a stadium comes, like Snapdragon did, what did the MLS do? MLS came immediately. They're like, of course, that's a market we want to be in, but you got to get the stadiums built first.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, for example, everyone knows the Las Vegas story. You went from basically nothing other than UNLV. I mean, UNLV was the ticket 40 years ago in Las Vegas, right? Even less, 35 years ago. And then from Golden Knights to Raiders to now we're learning
WNBA as well.
The Aces.
The Aces, tremendous amount of success.
Now we're learning the NBA is likely heading there.
Yeah.
We'll see officially, but it could be there as soon as 2 years from now. Also, the Final Four is heading to Allegiant Stadium.
Of course it is.
The A's are going to Las Vegas for whatever that's worth, but it's professional Major League Baseball.
It's something. Of course it is.
The point is like, not to say San Diego's been the opposite of Las Vegas, because it hasn't truly been the opposite. It's not the opposite of Las Vegas, but San Diego is unique in this area. Here's something. I say this a lot on the radio. San Diego is the only market in the country that only has a baseball team among the big four. So it's unique. There's no other city. Kansas City, they have the Chiefs and the Royals. Cleveland, right? Multiple teams.
Yeah.
Baltimore has the Ravens and the Orioles. The only city that's got one, and the only one is baseball, is San Diego. Now, to your point, Snapdragon Stadium has been very successful, whether it's with San Diego State Athletics, but then obviously with men's and women's professional soccer. It's just like Vegas has been pretty unique. San Diego's also pretty unique. I'm not saying they're a 180, but they're each unique in their own ways. And obviously Vegas is kind of running away. Let me
tell you the difference. The difference is, and again, I'm a believer this is going to change in San Diego, because you can't be this good of a market, this big of a market, location of where you are as well. Obviously, bordering Mexico. Los Angeles is just a couple hours away. I think that's an advantage of also when you could compete with some of these other markets that are close to you. I mean, one of the best products in baseball has been over this last 5-6 years is the Padres and the Dodgers. It really has. It has been one of the, and I'm not talking about from a local perspective. I'm talking about in general, those have been marquee matchups, great playoff matchups. The difference with Vegas and San Diego is this. Vegas said, we'll set everything up. You don't have to do anything. Vegas built everything and understood by making that happen, the leagues will come. Right. That's what they did. The opposite in San Diego, and I'll give some examples because I think there are some similarities in the Los Angeles market as well. The problem in San Diego is we haven't built anything. And because we haven't built anything, we lost the team. We lost the most important franchise in the city of San Diego. If you want to say the Padres, that's fine. But obviously the Chargers, such an important franchise in the city of San Diego, it can change. You know how it can change? You got
to go build something.
Yeah, you have to build. And I'm not trying to make it sound like it's easy. And I'm not trying to tell you that. But I'll give one example. If Kroenke and his group, and this is something that I'm looking forward to spending a lot more time trying to learn, what are some of those hurdles? How come it hasn't happened?
Yeah.
But if Kroenke and his group wants to build an arena in where the current sports arena is off Rosecrans, and they just get stop sign after stop sign, where I will tell you, because I obviously lived a number of years in Los Angeles, Kroenke got the land in Inglewood. They were building a stadium. Not that easy, but you know what I'm talking about. Steve Ballmer decided, I'm going to go build my own stadium and did it.
Buy the land, build the stadium.
You don't need, at this stage, and especially in the state of California, you can't do this stuff depending on a city. But you can do this stuff depending on rich owners or rich groups that say, yes, I want to be a part of it. That's how they did it in LA. The city really, I'm not telling you the city had nothing to do with it, but the only reason why that happened is because big players came in and they did it. That's what they're doing in Vegas. You know what's so crazy about the Vegas expansion for the NBA? Something that is just this was within the last maybe week that I saw this. Might have been a tweet. I don't even know what it was. They said the only question with an NBA team in Vegas is which arena are they going to play in?
And they'll likely build a new one. There could even be, that's what I was reading as well, that T-Mobile isn't going to be sufficient. I thought T-Mobile was
for that.
And I think they'll build another one for it. I think they'll build another one.
And there's other locations that are going to fight for it and everything else.
Yeah. No, it's
Would you rather be in Vegas or San Diego?
I mean, me personally,
I don't even think you personally, if
I'm a league,
not even just the league, it's interesting because I know what Vegas is. But if you asked anybody across the country, hey, where do you want to go for a vacation? You want to go to Vegas? You want to go to San Diego?
Right, it's not even close.
I'm not telling you that Vegas doesn't have, of course it's Vegas. It's got its market. People would much rather be in San Diego than in Vegas.
Yeah. But to your point, our collective point, if only it was that easy. Because you're not playing in San Diego on an aircraft carrier. You know what I mean? Like you got to have a facility. You don't just go in a parking lot and play NBA basketball.
All right, we could be done.
I think so. Again, I just don't know. Again, this round of NBA expansion, unfortunately,
that's out of the mix
along the way. No, I'm with you. All right, coming up, we will get to the wrap. We will hear from Mark Cuban and what John Seidler can learn from the Mavericks sale. That and more. But we did promise you Charlie Puth tickets. Call right now if you want them. Caller 7, you are going to see Charlie Puth at VA House Arena on April 22nd.
Nobody said I can't win them.
Call right now, Alan. 877-767-4760. If you want to see Charlie Puth at VA House Arena on April 22nd, call right now. 877-767-4760. Caller 7, you are going. Great giveaway. Call right now. The wrap coming up next. Stay with us. Hour 2 of Schaeffer and Sliwa next, live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by America 250. The Padres and the Giants start game 2 of their 3-game set tonight at Petco Park. It's going to be Logan Webb going for San Francisco and German Marquez going for the Padres. First pitch is set for 6:40. We got Lakers basketball tonight on San Diego Sports 760 when they take on Cleveland. Our pregame coverage will begin at 7:15 with the tip a little after 7:30. Calling all undergraduate students, what would you build for America's future? Your big idea could earn you $25,000 in grant funding and help shape the next 250 years of America. Submit today at america250.org. No purchase necessary. See official rules at america250.org.
It's Schaeffer and Sliwa. Sean Schaeffer.
When you think about the city of San Diego, some of the worst ownership groups with the Clippers situation, with the Chargers situation, even the Padres ownership history hasn't always been smooth sailing.
San Diego's own Alan Sliwa.
I felt like we went through a stage of baseball where everything was so predetermined. Why even have a manager? What's the point of having a manager?
Here's Schaeffer and Sliwa.
All right, hour 2, Schaeffer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760. We're giving away a 4-pack of tickets to Sesame Place between now and 6 p.m. We have 2 developing stories, Alan. One is we turn the mics on. Well, we know why Ramon Laureano is not in the lineup, and thankfully it's not because of his health. It's a manager's decision. Craig Stammen electing to go with Miguel Andujar and Nick Castellanos based on small sample sizes of success against Logan Webb, and just saying, one of them is the odd man out. That's going to be Laureano. So that's one story, which is interesting, and we can get into over the next couple of hours.
Sure.
We'll get to the wrap coming up as well. The other story developing at this exact moment is Tiger Woods has stated he will step away from golf to seek treatment. So he was arrested recently, obviously, due to a DUI based on a substance abuse, right? When he crashed his vehicle within the last week.
He pled not guilty today.
Pled not guilty. He has said he will seek treatment and focus on his health in a statement that was published this afternoon. I don't think that comes as some significant surprise, Alan. Obviously, I think it starts there with Tiger Woods. It's less about the future of his golf career, which has basically been determined at this point, and more about the future of just the life of Tiger Woods. So he will step away from golf once again for the time being.
Yeah, listen, you saw some of the photos, car turned over.
Yeah.
Obviously, read the story. It's Tiger Woods for years now has been associated with, let's take away the health part, which has been a big part of him not really being able to be the Tiger Woods that we know him of. But hey, there's some kind of tragic stories in the mix of all of that. So if the man is stepping away and for those reasons, I don't think anybody's gonna argue that. I mean, to be honest with you, I know there's a nostalgia of Tiger Woods and see if he can just be any piece of the golfer that he's been in the past, and everybody's been chasing that now for how many years. Take care of yourself. You look like you got bigger issues than deciding how
making
far,
a cut.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think at this case or at this point, it doesn't matter to me. Now I know there's some very passionate golfers, and we obviously know what Tiger Woods has done for the game. But I think you reach a point where it's like, yeah, go ahead and handle your own business and don't worry about golf.
I agree. We'll get into, again, Craig Stammen's decision and the Padres' decision to sit Ramon Laureano, arguably their best hitter, through 4 games as the Padres get ready for Game 2 against the Giants and Logan Webb. But as we typically do around this time, let's get to this.
It's time for the wrap. Presented by Sombrero Mexican Food. Check out their website at sombreromex.com.
Should the NFL go to an 18-game regular season?
Me again? Okay. So, well,
floor is yours.
I'm learning this one here. Selfishly, of course they should. But it's just because I just like watching the NFL. It has, do I think they need 18 games? No. Do I think Major League Baseball needs 162 games? Of course not.
Right. Does the NBA
need 82? They don't. But of all the sports, the only one that I'm asking for more games of is the NFL, because it is the best product, because it feels like by the time it starts in September, you're like, what do you mean the regular season's already over? I'll say yes to 18 games. I also don't play in the NFL. I'm also not paying attention to my body. I don't know what goes on with a lot of these guys outside of that. But just from a selfish, I love football, yes, they should.
I just always thought that once you went to an odd number, you needed to get back to an even number.
I always felt it was going to happen.
does it make sense for some teams to play 9 home games? I know they do it by conference, and others to play 8 plus the international games. I think this allows you, and the NFL has proven that they care about a couple of things. One of which is making money, and secondly, is
2 is also making money. What's the third one?
Is they want to play this game all over the world.
Yeah,
and by adding an additional regular
is there a
season
fourth
game,
one?
They want to make more money.
Make a little bit more money, yes.
And I think by playing an extra regular season game, you can add in the Sydneys and the Madrids and the Mexico Cities. You can even go to the nth degree there and play more and more of it, which creates more revenue. I'm with you. Health and safety wise, I think it's a terrible idea. Viewership wise, it obviously makes a lot of sense because nothing is consumed in this country like the NFL.
What days do the NFL not play? So currently they got Thursday night football. They'll play on Saturdays when you start getting closer to the holidays and everything else.
Sunday,
they play on Sundays. They play on Mondays. Let me just throw out, if they decided to throw a Tuesday night game, would you watch that?
A lot of people would.
Let's say not even you or me or anything, but around
Of course they would.
they can play on any day, and it doesn't matter who's playing. We are going to consume it.
Seahawks openers on Wednesday this year.
My whole thing is it could become oversaturated. I think the NFL is great because we only get it 1 day a week. If we get it, 5 days a week like baseball, we're going to start to take all the games for granted. So
the 18 games or the playing another day of the week?
I'm not for the 18 games.
Not for the 18?
Or playing another day.
Do you think it's been oversaturated with adding the one game, going from 16 to 17?
It's well on its way because there's nobody to check the NFL. So once they get going,
We'll get to
they'll
20.
Exactly.
I've said in our lifetime, we'll get to 20.
Yeah.
Don't you feel like it?
And
I
we
also
have a
think
Wednesday game coming up this year because of the whole Australia thing.
And I think they want the Super Bowl to be played over as a President's Day weekend, where the next day is a national holiday. I think that might even be coming next year in the schedule.
Why most businesses will do something until they find out, okay, maybe we went a little too far, and maybe the NFL is going to have to do it. I'm not worried at 18 they're going to be oversaturated.
They are the golden goose, and it cannot be broken. Next question.
How would you guys fix tanking in the NBA?
In 60 seconds.
How would I fix tanking in the NBA? There's some different theories that are out there, but I think you can reach a point of the season. Let's say you get to 60 games, John, and then or whatever that number is. Maybe it's 50 games, 55, and then the lottery then is determined by the teams that are playing the best, not the worst. So the better you play at a certain point of the season, and now that the games are becoming more competitive, that the Washington Wizards or the Brooklyn Nets or the Indiana Pacers, you got to give them incentives to win, not incentives to lose. I've always said this. I don't have any issue with the tanking. And maybe it's not good for the game and the product and people get pissed off about it and everything else. Don't incentivize them to lose, which the NBA has done. Incentivize winning.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think I've always liked the idea that the team closest to the postseason but misses out picks first. But now I could be, because you're actually trying. You're not the worst team. You're the worst team that didn't make it. But I could now be convinced that the teams in the play-in, along with the teams that are out, are all in the same pool of teams. So the 10 that are out and the 8 in the play-in in the Eastern Western Conference, those 18 teams, put them in a hopper in some form or fashion. But they have to figure out a way that after 9 games, like there's teams that from like the 5th game of the year have had no business winning. Indiana, Utah. That to me really tears away at the credibility of a league.
All lottery teams get one ping pong ball. Then there's no difference between whether you're the worst team in the league or you're the 13th worst team in the league. There'll be no advantage.
I don't hate it.
There'll be no advantage for losing more games. Everyone will be on a fair footing.
Here's the issue the NBA would say, which I'm with you. I don't hate that at all. Last year, the San Antonio Spurs and the Dallas Mavericks had like a 1 and 2% chance. Cooper Flagg ends up with the Mavs. Right. Dylan Harper ends up with the San Antonio. Your 1-2 went to a very low percentage. I'm okay with that. I don't have any issue with that. It also created a conspiracy theory that Luka went to the Lakers, so then they gave Cooper Flagg over there.
And that won't end with no
course
matter what
end.
they do,
and
that
it shouldn't
probably
end.
won't end.
Yeah.
Next question.
Should Tiger just retire for good?
Sure. I'm not the golf fanatic, so I'm not going to watch probably either way. Maybe I'm still tuning in if he's playing on a Sunday and he's got a shot, but I don't know what the chances are of that. Yeah, he's got too much other stuff going on. I mean, if you want to call it retire or not, he should at the absolute least step away from the game for a little bit.
Yeah, I think he is retired. His last time on tour was July 2024 when he missed a cut. I think it might have been the U.S. Open. For all intents and purposes, he's basically retired. The Tiger that we saw, like you and I at our age, well, of course, we'll never see again. Will he make?
We're not supposed to. Like, you know, you also reach a point where his body is done. And
I mean, I probably think, what would be best for Tiger is to concentrate on himself and not his golf game as a 50-year-old dealing with the injuries that he's been dealing with
and his
last
personal
handful of years.
stuff.
So, I mean, I don't have any issue with you, but to your point, it's a hot button topic with golf fans. And a lot of people would like to see Tiger Woods play professionally for another 10 plus years. Next question.
At what point are you going to be concerned about the Padres?
April 1st.
Tomorrow.
You lose another one today. I am a believer in this. You can't. The Padres have kind of road momentum, and if you go into this, if by the time you get to May 1st, you're really looking at the schedule and you're saying to yourself, like, wow, they're really digging themselves a hole. We're not 100% sure that these bats are ever going to be the bats they once were. We're not 100% sure that the rotation, the only kind of for sure you have with the Padres, they have a really good bullpen. I'm not sure if Manny Machado is going to get back to hitting 30 home runs. I'm not sure if Tatis is going to have, if his best years are behind him. So in a roundabout way, let's hover around 500 be at May 1st and still be around that 500 mark. If they're 6, 7, 8 games below 500 at that point, I'd definitely be concerned.
Yeah, the problem with having a good bullpen is you better have a good team.
And you better have a lead.
Yeah, because when you have a great closer, you don't want to be the best closer on a team that finishes out of the postseason. Because what is the point of having that closer? It's way too early to be concerned, but it's never too early to what we said earlier, be disappointed. And 4 games, it's been disappointing, but hopefully that changes over the course of the next couple of days and beyond. All right, on the other side, Mark Cuban with a really fascinating look at the state of the sale he made of the Dallas Mavericks. Does he regret that or not? And what does that mean for John Seidler's decision with the San Diego Padres? We'll discuss that on the other side. We're giving away tickets to Sesame Place coming up. This is Schaeffer and Sliwa on San Diego Sports 760. We're live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, Schaeffer and Sliwa here on San Diego Sports 760. John Schaeffer, Alan Sliwa. Again, we've got Sesame Place tickets to give away. We do want to congratulate our winners in iHeartRadio's Thank a Teacher, powered by Donors Choose. There's still time to donate to a classroom project, and your donation will be matched by Donors Choose. Help us say thank you to the educators shaping our future now at iHeartRadio.com/teachers. All right, so Mark Cuban.
Yeah. Can I just say this before we get into it?
Yeah.
John, I got to be honest. Good to be here, man.
Matt, it's good to be with you, dude. Seriously, it is.
Just kind of I'm feeling very comfortable in this seat.
Again, the day two vibes.
Oh, the day
just
one.
kind of settling in.
I don't know what was going on in day one.
Day one's
Walking
a lot of moving
around. There's a
parts,
lot
right?
going on. Yeah.
Yeah. Does the computer, what's the internet? Like, how do I connect to the Wi-Fi?
This is not what I have not yet figured out is email on my phone. We're getting there.
Do you need it?
I
mean, maybe.
You know, the only thing that's the whole, listen to us here complaining about this, but you know, one of the most annoying things, which is a necessary thing, these, you got to authenticate everything.
I can't deal with the two-factor authentication.
By the way, this is literally for like your bank account and this and that.
I mean, it's
and
good.
in my head, I'm like, listen, let's just let everybody in. Let's all just have a.
I feel that way until I'm hacked.
Oh, I'm with you.
Know what I mean?
And that's
so
the thing is, I
annoying.
haven't been hacked either. I used to always do this like an idiot. Sometimes I forget, like, I forget to lock my door or something like that.
Right.
I'm like, everything's going to be fine. Everything's
No,
gonna be
I'm the
okay.
opposite with that.
And then
in real
I would
life.
lose a laptop, and I'd be like, hey, Brent, heads up, man, you should lock your car door. That's
Right.
probably a good idea.
No, in
I'm
real
not good
life,
at that. I trust too much.
In real life, I lock everything.
Yeah.
But in fake life, like on the internet, I just have one password. Well, you know what I mean? Everyone's got the same password. It's like, you know, it's
No, of course.
It's like cat 1, 2, 3.
No, it's your birth date. So
Right.
all these hackers need to
Yeah,
know is
their
when was this
birthday.
idiot born? He puts his last name and his birth date, and there it is.
100%. So in that regard, I'm all for two-factor authentication, but it's just annoying.
Yeah.
Every time I get into my email, I need to like put some 6-digit code in. To
Can't we
check
just do this?
my email.
Can't we just stop hacking? If we can just get that approved, you know,
I think we got a
through-
better chance of.
If we can just get it, if we can just stop hacking people, then we could just stop with this. The whole 2-step verification, all that stuff. I'm like, guys, I
Stop
by that
hacking.
point, I don't even want to log in.
Yeah,
whatever it is.
Can we just stop hacking?
That's all we're
Can
asking
the Padres
for.
just win the World Series? It's as easy as that. Mark Cuban said today, and we have the audio.
It's interesting.
That he regrets
interesting.
selling the Mavericks, not just selling them, but to the group he sold them to. This is what Mark Cuban had to say. And remember right now, the Padres are for sale. John Seidler should be listening to this as well.
Why did you sell the Mavericks? Because it's a big emotional commitment, right? You hear the passion and everything. Now imagine going up and down like that every single game. You know, that's hard.
Yep.
Two, my kids, they were coming of the age where they would be of the mindset, maybe they want to work at the Mavs, and I didn't want that for them. You know, it can be abusive a lot. You know, you can, and you know,
What do you mean by that?
meaning, you know, if fans don't like what you're doing or the team's not doing well, you're the worst human being on the planet, and then they treat you that way.
Do you have any regret?
I don't regret selling. I regret who I sold to. Yeah, I made a lot of mistakes in the process, and I'll leave it at that.
Damn.
So pretty strong words.
Wow.
I mean, two things. Correct me if I'm wrong.
That's not a Mike Schilt presser.
No, it's not.
That's some true honesty, right?
It
there.
is, and I think he regrets what happened with Luka. Again, it wasn't under his watch.
Yeah.
And clearly he regrets the way the sale played out of the group he sold to. The Padres are for sale.
Yeah.
John Seidler, we made this point yesterday on day one of Schaeffer
We'll continue making it until we find out who the new ownership is.
He
Yeah.
has not just an obligation to sell the team for the most money he can make.
Yeah.
Sure, that might be best for his pocketbook. But does he not have an obligation to Padres fans, the city? Does he not have a duty to make sure he gets it right?
All right, it's going to sound like I'm being dramatic. It's going to sound like I'm overreacting. I don't think I am, but I could be gauging this wrong. This is, if not the most critical moment, one of the most critical moments in San Diego sports history. Of course, one of those moments also being when the Chargers left to Los Angeles. why this is so critical, because I don't care what it is that you do. I don't care what business you run. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, ownership is everything. It all starts, you've heard the saying, it all starts at the top.
Yep.
If you're John Seidler and you want out of the Padres business, it's okay. I don't blame John Seidler. You know, I think if people are upset at him or anything like that, you shouldn't be. This is John Seidler's, what his interests are do not have to be the same as Peter Seidler. But this is where you are responsible. And I think the Mark Cuban factor of it, him saying, I regret to who I sold to. When Luka Doncic was traded from the Dallas Mavericks, a generational talent that you only get a few of these. These don't come all the time.
Right.
He was traded to the Los Angeles Lakers for a player that one of his teammates, Rui Hachimura, said this in the postgame show yesterday. He said, I looked over to the sidelines of the Wizards. Lakers were playing the Wizards yesterday. He said, I forgot Anthony Davis plays for the Washington Wizards. That's who Luka Doncic was traded for.
Right. An afterthought of a player.
He played 29 games for the Dallas Mavericks before he was traded. Does Mark Cuban have any responsibility for that?
Well, yeah, honestly, I tie more of that trade to Mark Cuban than I do whoever the hell owns the Mavericks now. I don't even know who owns the Mavericks.
Patrick Dumont and
the Adelson family.
But
isn't that interesting?
Yeah, I think the piece of if you think Mark Cuban has responsibility for that, because I do as well. Mark Cuban was responsible of who he sold to. Now, I don't know when Mark Cuban sold, if this just came down to whoever gives me the most money is all I care about. And the point that we're trying to make about the responsibility of John Seidler, you got to make sure you know who you're selling to. It should not, and it cannot come down to, this isn't like, if I'm selling a business, if I had a car wash business and I'm selling it and I'm out, like that's one thing. That's not going to affect the entire city. The sale of a sports franchise for a city, it's everything. And if he gets it right, we're going to give him all the credit in the world. And he's going to continue a legacy that his brother, Peter Seidler, was trying to build for the city of San Diego. And if he gets it wrong, it's not just a slap in the face to the city, but, and I don't know how much I can put on this to John Seidler, but damn, dot your I's and cross your T's, because it's such a critical moment of who you sell.
I mean, I'd put it all on. The reason I put Luka on Mark Cuban is because Cuban sold the Mavericks, and under his watch, it wouldn't happen. Just like if John Seidler sells the Padres and Jackson Merrill is traded 6 months later, I'm putting that on John Seidler. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, you're the reason why you sold to this person or this group that didn't have the best interest of the Padres at heart. Like, I'm putting it on the person that's selling them. The person that buys them, they kind of bought them fair and square. You sold it to them. Like, that's on you. You allowed this to happen, not the next group. The next group, they gave you right? They wrote the check.
Here's the tough thing. Because if I give them, you want to do this coming back? Want to continue this? I know we can
continue this conversation on the other side. Yeah, we'll continue this conversation on the other side. Also, Ramon Laureano, why is he sitting here? The best hitter for the Padres so far this year is sitting against Logan Webb. Why? We'll get into that coming up this hour. This is Schaeffer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by True Green. The Padres and Giants are getting ready for game 2 of their 3-game series down at Petco Park. It's going to be Logan Webb going for the Giants, and it's going to be Germán Marquez going for the Padres. First pitch is set for 6:40. In other sports news, Tiger Woods announced today that he is stepping away from golf to seek treatment. He also pled not guilty to his rollover crash the other day. Tonight, we have Lakers basketball on San Diego Sports 760 when they take on the Cavs. Pre-game coverage will begin at 7:15 with a tip at 7:30. Warmer weather is here and the weeds aren't far behind, but the lawn care pros at True Green are ready. Don't wait. Sign up at truegreen.com by April 7th and get 6 weeks free. Let the pros do the work so you can enjoy your weekend. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
All right, San Diego Sports 760, Schaeffer and Sliwa. We've got a 4-pack of tickets to Sesame Place to give away. Alan's going back for more.
Cheers to you, man.
When it
Cheers
comes to coffee.
Cheers to everybody on the chat.
Is that your second cup since 3 p.m.?
Well, let me say this. I'm pouring like, Brad, I'm maybe putting a third of a cup. Doesn't even count.
So just a few ounces. No, it counts,
like
though.
But it doesn't even count. It's like, you know what it is? It's like when you go to like a restaurant, right? The appetizer, that should not count towards your total calories.
Like the calorie, yeah. It's just like,
yeah, it shouldn't count.
It's the bread.
It's the bread. Now,
but
granted,
you eat too much of it,
bro, which happens every time,
right? And then you're gonna spoil your meal.
The worst thing to do, it's also the best thing, but go to an Italian restaurant. How are you not going to have much of the bread as there, and then what's waiting for you? A pasta and some type of pizza or whatever the case is. You got a glass of wine coming. I'm
carbs on carbs on carbs.
Yeah. And if their strategy is, well, you know, if they eat X amount of bread, what was it? Olive Garden that had the
unlimited,
the unlimited
breadsticks and
come on,
salad.
So appetizer for me, I don't feel like should count towards calories. This is just an internal thing. So this coffee here, when I go a third cup, that doesn't count.
Okay.
That doesn't count.
Now
I have 4 of those, and then we're about 2.5 cups in.
Let's finish the conversation on Mark Cuban and then get to Ramon Laureano being out of the lineup here tonight for the Padres. You had a further point you wanted to make.
The only thing that I'll defend John Seidler in this. Let's say John Seidler has the best interest of San Diego. Let's say John Seidler's not even paying attention to San Diego, but he's saying, my brother, Peter Seidler, this is what he wanted. This is his legacy, and I'm going to do everything I can to help fulfill what his legacy is. I'm going to sell to the right owner. The only problem with John Seidler's position, I can sell my house and say, you know what? I know all the neighbors here, and I want to make sure when I sell this house, I'm selling it to the right person that's going to come in here and is going to take care of the neighborhood. He might get sold a bag of you know what, and everybody says the right thing, and the new ownership comes in and they say, "Listen, we want to continue of course we want to build off of this. Yes, we love the city of San Diego too." And then the moment they sign, that paperwork, and I don't know what happened with Mark Cuban when he was selling the team to Patrick Dumont and Adelson family. I don't know. I'm just using it as an example. I have no idea.
But it sounds like, with the benefit of hindsight,
he regrets it now.
And it hasn't even been that much time. The one thing I would say, my point on that is that Peter Seidler made it abundantly clear. I mean, his exact quote has something to do with the San Diego Padres will be my family's name for generations. He's been going for 2.5 years.
And it's going to be gone.
So now I understand that John Seidler isn't Peter. I do. And I don't want him doing something he doesn't want to do. As in, if he's not the best person or most suited to run the organization, if he's not the one giving them the best chance to win, go find someone that will give them the best chance to win. But that's putting a lot of faith in John Seidler too, in finding the right group to sell to that has the best interests of the Padres organization.
I don't know if it's putting a lot of faith in him or it's the scenario. Like there's no other scenario. I mean,
assuming he's going to sell it.
And people with that type of money that are coming in, even the Seidler, John Seidler selling it. It's not something that they just sit in their office and say, I could put this thing together. They got how many people do they have that are helping put this sale together? How many of their own selfish intentions and interests does each individual party have But like I said, at the end of the day, your hope is, and I could even put San Diego to the side. This should be a John Seidler trying to do what his brother wanted to ultimately accomplish for the San Diego Padres. And a lot of that is going to be based, I mean, this is going to sound crazy, but if he sells to the right ownership, John Seidler's name could be a huge name in San Diego for years to come because he sold to the right ownership.
Just like the opposite could be true, which is where I think Mark Cuban, I feel as if Cuban thinks he bears responsibility for Luka being traded. Haven't you sensed that over the last year plus? Like, not me. I wouldn't have done it. I wasn't consulted. Almost like he has to speak publicly on behalf of an organization.
And typically people trying to defend themselves that publicly, there's a reason for it. He does feel responsibility.
That's what I'm saying. And I just feel like if John Seidler doesn't get it right, to your point, if he does, he'll get credit. And if he doesn't, he'll get blamed. But that's maybe the point.
The difference between Mark Cuban and John Seidler, you'll never hear from him.
Yeah.
And Mark Cuban is obviously always in the spotlight.
Yeah. And Mark Cuban also brought a championship to Dallas.
Yep.
Which is something that he'll always be, remembered for as well. All right. So the Padres today trying to, get out of this skid to start the year offensively. They've been among the worst teams through 4 games offensively. They're not hitting 200, for example, as a team. And Kevin Acey actually wrote about this. He'll join us again tomorrow on Schaeffer and Sliwa. They sit Ramon Laureano today. The reason given, and this is from AJ Cassavell from Craig Stammen's pregame press conference with the media. Craig Stammen said, citing some solid numbers from Miguel Andujar and Nick Castellanos against Logan Webb. He says very small samples for all 3 when you include Ramon Laureano, but he wanted those 2 in the lineup. So that's the reason. Maybe a little hunch, a little bit of the metrics and the analytics as well. But Ramon Laureano, who's been their best hitter, again, it's 4 games. He will sit here today in game 5. What do you make of that?
I think just my knee-jerk reaction is put Ramon Laureano in the game. That's my knee-jerk reaction. I think they said something. I think if I saw the stat right, somebody put it up on Twitter. I want to say 0 for 7 against Logan Webb. It was something like that. I think that was the stat that I saw. But like you mentioned, it's such a small sample size. So I just, if this isn't the best example, but I think this does happen in sports where it's easy sometimes to overthink things. And, this is where we're going to have a phenomenal opportunity to come on here tomorrow because we are back tomorrow. This is a 5 days a week thing, right? So it's Monday through Friday from 3 to 6. But we're going to come back on tomorrow and say, hey, that was a really good managerial move. Or we're going to say, yeah, why didn't you just keep Laureano in the game? Because he is one of the few bats that you have right now that actually has been productive, again, off a few games. But Laureano was a baller for the Padres last year as well. I mean, the only problem with Laureano, he just got injured at the wrong time and he wasn't available for the postseason. But this is one of those, are we overthinking this? But we'll react to it tomorrow. I'd rather have Laureano in the lineup than not, but I also don't get paid to be a manager.
Yeah, it's like baseball's the most matchup-dependent sport in basically American professional sports. You don't think like, I'm not going to start Mahomes. I just don't like the secondary matchup. You don't say, you know what, Luka's going to sit because trust me, against
Houston's defense. I mean, you got to watch out for that defense.
But to your point,
by the way, that's the funniest ever.
Right?
We're not going to start Patrick Mahomes because of that secondary.
God, the Patriots secondary.
That example makes baseball so different than anything else.
So to your point, Laureano's 0 for 7 lifetime against Logan Webb. Miguel Andujar is 3 for 7 lifetime, and Nick Castellanos is 4 for 7 lifetime. And Castellanos has homered as well. He's the only one to have homered among those 3. So again, it is funny because I think we said before the show,
those are strong stats. I mean, if I'm going to eat my own words
before the show, we were like, anytime we say small sample size, almost like drink. And these are small sample sizes too. Like we're talking about 4 baseball games being a small sample size. This is less than 4 games worth of at-bats when you've got 6 or 7 career at-bats against a pitcher. And you're 100% right. This is when you manage, you're scrutinized. When it goes well, like again, the record at the end of the year is on the manager. And when you lose a game, oftentimes it falls, not always, it falls heavy as the head that wears the crown, as I always say, on someone like Machado or Tatis. But oftentimes the manager is criticized when a team doesn't win or the lineup doesn't produce. And shoot, we're 4 games in and Craig Stammen already is being criticized. Is he not for the team's performance?
Yeah. I mean, his situation it's unique because he's also walking into a situation. It's different when, if the Padres hadn't made the playoffs the last couple of years, take the Giants actually as a good example. The Giants, I think, what were we saying yesterday? I think maybe 2019, 2021, 2020. It's been a handful of years since they've made the postseason. The Padres are coming off postseason berths. 4 of the last 6 years, they've made the playoffs.
Right.
A new manager comes in. The expectations aren't, hey, this might take a year or two. Don't worry about it. Work your way up. No, it's like they're in win mode now. There's concerns with a lot of these contracts that the Padres have. That what are these contracts going to look like in 3 years? What are they going to look like? So there is this. You have to win right now. Mike Schilt did have success with the Padres. He did make the postseason 2 years in a row. So yeah, you get off to a 1-3 start. It's very normal to start looking at every decision that he makes. And it's like, well, is that the right decision? Is it what has he managed before? He hasn't. So I think all those are all factors.
Yeah, it goes back to the conversation maybe we had yesterday as the Giants and Padres got ready to start the series. It's like Craig Stammen's a first-time manager. Tony Vitello's a first-time manager. You just want to get off to a good start so people stop saying these guys are first-time managers. Like if Tony Vitello started 6-2, it wouldn't be about him being a first-time manager. It would be about him getting all the credit in the world. Same thing with Craig Stammen. If you start slow, I think it was Dave Fleming that made the point yesterday. It's like Bruce Bochy had multiple years in San Francisco that weren't great. It's just we're in like this new world where it's like people expect stuff immediately to pop. It's like they've played one series of games, guys. Doesn't mean Craig Stammen's not a good manager or Tony Vitello is not a good manager. Then again, it doesn't mean they are good managers either.
But I think you're right about we're in this. Everything's a microwave. Nobody wants to just put something in the oven
and let
it bake, cook it the right way, take your time, flip it at the right time, add some seasoning, put it back. No, it is 1 minute, 30 seconds. I need to eat, right?
Yeah.
But we also have to, that's not going away. So there is this, if a manager doesn't have, I'm going to throw an example, and I don't think this is the best example, but I'll try it. JJ Redick of the Lakers. No experience, podcaster, won 50 games for the Lakers last year, was out in 5 games. Do you know what his reputation is today? Yeah, but the guy can't win in the playoffs.
Right.
Wait, he played, it was one playoff series.
Right.
He won 50 games in the Western Conference, right? There is this immediacy that you want in any sport, really just in life in general. And maybe it's because our attention span is awful and the apps and everything else. But I also think you have to, that's just part of life now. So like that comes with the territory. It's not going to change. We're not all of a sudden going to go backwards and say, you know what, I am okay with 30 minutes of baking.
No, 100% right. And by the way, it's like, I don't envy it. I think it's a hard job. I think Craig Stammen's job is hard. I think Tony Vitello's job is hard, but it's the jobs that they're in. And then they're scrutinized, like, no matter what you do outside of winning World Series, there's a lot of scrutiny that comes with those jobs. All right. Speaking of the Lakers.
Yeah.
What comes next for LeBron at the end of this season? By the way, you can hear the Lakers tonight right here on 760. Cavs and Lakers coming up at 7:15. Also, we've got a family 4-pack of tickets to give away to Sesame Place, and we'll do that between now and 6 p.m. This is Schaeffer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, and live on the iHeartRadio app. Hey guys, it is Schaeffer again for the all-new Jamul Casino Resort, the Players Place, and we've been telling you about their hotel and spa now open at Jamul Casino Resort. Just terrific. You can experience elevated luxury, a refined hotel stay. They've got rooftop relaxation, indulgent spa treatments, all the excitement of Jamul Casino Resort seamlessly brought together in one unforgettable destination. You can take your stay to the next level with exclusive hotel packages crafted for the ultimate escape. They've got an Easter brunch and dinner going on this weekend. You can celebrate Easter in style with a feast to remember. Enjoy Hamul 23's brunch from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. or Tony Gwynn's dinner from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m., featuring an array of tantalizing dishes crafted from the finest ingredients. Bring family and friends for an unforgettable celebration of flavors. Reserve your table today. In addition, Monday Night Live going on throughout April. Pedal to the metal. Watch your luck bloom every Monday in April. New time, 6, 7, and 8 p.m. with 10 winners per drawing. Select a stem from their floral vases, and you could win $500 to $10,000 cash at the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. All right, San Diego Sports 760. Again, coming up tonight, right here on 760, you can listen to Lakers Cavs. I mean, we're getting down to it, aren't we? Nitty gritty time.
Oh,
in the
yeah.
NBA.
This is
Handful of
good.
games
Good time
remaining.
of the year.
It's interesting. So my wife is going to see the Clippers at Intuit Dome next Wednesday against OKC.
Okay.
And I want to say it's the day after Oklahoma City plays the Lakers. I'm sure it is. And she's all worried.
Solid game.
It is. Now she's
That's great.
diehard like Shea.
Uh-huh.
And my son is like diehard Clippers.
Interesting.
For like the last 5 weeks.
Interesting. How has that been in the house? Do they talk right now or do they not?
I don't consider Oklahoma City, LA Clippers to be like the world's biggest rivalry. You know what I mean?
Well,
so,
Shea is
with the Clippers.
with
You're
the
right.
Clippers.
Shea with the Clippers.
So maybe it's deeper than you think.
But here's the thing. She has been obsessing over making sure the Thunder don't wrap up the 1 seed before this game because she wants to make sure we're in this load management era.
Yeah.
She wants to make sure Shea, Jalen Williams, well, basically Shea plays.
She might get to see, no matter what, Isaiah Hartenstein, which I'm sure is very exciting.
Oh, she's thrilled about the idea of seeing Isaiah Hartenstein.
Lou Dort.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so there's
Shea.
some.
They're basically Shea. Tell me the difference between Hartenstein and Shea. Give me one difference.
Honestly,
they're the same player.
Yeah, one of them likes Italian, the other one prefers Mexican food. That's it. That's
Did you
the only
see Shea
difference.
last night by chance?
Is this the 25 free throw attempts? I did see that.
Well, against the Pistons, he got close to the late offensive foul.
Okay, but they go to OT, right? And Oklahoma wins. But if she was looking for them not to wrap it up, she needed Detroit to win yesterday.
She was rooting for the Pistons. Yeah. She's doing that. So it'll be close is the point.
Okay, can I ask you a quick question on that? Because I think it's a fair one on the load management stuff.
Yeah.
You got any issue if they wrap it up and they decide, hey, I'm not playing Shea? Now, it sucks for the fans. Look, this is the thing.
Fans.
This is the thing that you have to weigh in the NBA, because the NBA is the most strategic when it comes to this. You are angering fans every single night saying, I just spent
a lot
$150 a ticket. And I don't
domes, Staples, or crypto. This is not cheap.
Of course, it's not cheap.
Right? This isn't. We're not just going to a random Pacers game.
And you're not just going there and you're just buying your ticket. Go park at one of these stadiums. How much does it cost? Your son's going to want some freaking food and some drinks and maybe some memorabilia and all that stuff, or a jersey. Spend a lot of money. Now, if you're going all that way and you can't see Kawhi and you can't see Shai Gilgeous-Alexander,
problem.
I sympathize with the fans. But if I'm the Oklahoma City Thunder, I'm trying to win a championship. What am I supposed to do? I'm not supposed to play Shea this late in the year if I don't need to.
This is a larger conversation, because I go back to like what changed. I look at Michael Jordan's career. Just go look year by year. 82, 81, 79, 82, 81, right? Game split. Look at Steph. I mean, when he was healthy earlier in his career, he's playing
Kobe.
80 games. Yeah, look at Kobe, And now it hasn't been that long, right? I mean, the beginning of Steph's career, the end of Kobe's career, that's not that long ago. Yet now it's like you can't play more than like 68 games.
I'll tell you what's changed.
Is it? I know what you're going to say, I think. Let me guess.
Go ahead.
You're going to tell me that it's like the way the game is played has changed.
Tariffs. No, I'm just kidding.
Go ahead. Are you going to tell me like more 3-point shooting, more possessions?
No, not at all.
Okay, interesting.
A lot of this started with the San Antonio Spurs.
Of course.
It had nothing to do with, I think there is an analytics piece to this, right? But front offices started saying, hey, it's smarter for us to do it this way. And it's smarter for us to have some of these players not play late in the season. It's smarter for us not to play them second of a back-to-back. I mean, Greg Popovich, who's one of the most successful coaches in the San Antonio Spurs, one of the most successful, franchises in the NBA, strategically decided, we don't kind of care what the fan wants. Remember that time they got fined because it was a nationally televised game and they sat everybody, or whatever the case was. I forget the exact story. They are the almost the creators of this.
Mm-hmm.
The Thunder have done it. Go back and look at some of these other teams that have had success. Everybody's had a little piece in the result of this.
So
but a lot of this came from the San Antonio Spurs, who was one of the most successful franchises out there.
And Kawhi, who's, again, I mean, obviously a lot of this ties back to Kawhi Leonard, obviously.
When he was a Spur.
One of my favorite players, but a lot of that has to do with, obviously, San Diego State. But anyway, it's a long way of saying, if teams are having success, this is the problem. The NBA's got this twofold problem. On one hand, you got teams that have no business even being in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way they treat these games. They're not even trying to win these games. On the other hand, the best teams in the league, and the worst teams too, but the best teams in the league are winning NBA titles with the system that they're utilizing. Therefore, why would they change it?
Mm-hmm.
If what they're doing is working, why would you change it? To put a bow on this Clippers game that my wife is going to, though, and we can get to LeBron on the other side, is that Shea has routinely kind of made a point to play against the Clippers in his career, specifically.
I think there's probably a stronger chance. You're saying stronger chance he doesn't play against the Lakers?
No, he's definitely playing against the Lakers.
I don't think it's a lock.
Really?
Because I think, like you just said, they're going to play Lakers. Lakers are playing at the Oklahoma City Thunder this upcoming Thursday.
Right.
It's still an important game. If it's not an important game, what do the Thunder got to prove?
Right,
Honestly, I think strategically, the Thunder might say, you don't get another look at us.
Right.
What are we? Why do we care to show you anything? It's the Lakers that need to prove they got to beat the Thunder. The Thunder have nothing to prove.
It is still weird to me. To your point, people spend thousands and thousands of dollars, whether it's season tickets or individual games. You bring your family. You have a 7-year-old. He's there for this player, and he's in street clothes. And that's not That's not a Wednesday night issue. This issue's been a lot longer than next Wednesday night. But it is interesting how we don't, Major League Baseball, they play 100-something games. Yeah, there's a scheduled off day or two in there, but by and large, they play. College basketball, it's the same sport. They play fewer games. They don't play back-to-back as often.
No, they're playing 30 games, something like that.
But like Players Era, they'll play 3 games in 3 days. You don't see like Kentucky's best player sitting the third day.
No, I agree with you that.
You know what I mean?
The only way this changes, I think, in the NBA, and they could try doing whatever they can, and Adam Silver can come out and he could say, well, it's because of this. And you know what? We're going to put our foot down on all this stuff. They just signed a $77 billion contract to, obviously their TV revenue. It's not hurting their bottom line. It's not.
But is it going to hurt the TV networks that are doing business with the NBA
until
if Shea doesn't play?
So once that starts happening, or once fans are like, "Hey, enough of this. I ain't going to games."
Yeah.
And if it's 19,000 to sell out, and you got 15,000 there, and this is a good team, and it's going to take something like that. Right now, they're just printing money.
Yep.
So it really hasn't affected them.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. All right, we'll get to LeBron's future coming up. Also getting you ready for game 2 of this Padres and Giants series, and giving away a 4-pack of tickets to Sesame Place in the 5 o'clock hour. Hour 3 of Schaeffer and Sliwa on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app is next.
The support is sponsored by WeatherBug. The Padres and Giants are getting ready for game 2 of their series tonight down at Petco Park. It's going to be Logan Webb going for the Giants and Herman Marquez going for the Padres. First pitch is set for 6:40. In sort of golf news, Tiger Woods announced today that he is stepping away from golf to seek treatment. He also pled non-guilty today to his DUI rollover crash from the other day. Tonight, we have Lakers basketball on San Diego Sports 760 when they take on the Cavaliers. Pregame coverage will begin at 7:15 with the tip at 7:30. Get the fastest local alerts and accurate 24/7 forecasts with WeatherBug. It's easy to use and provides real-time customizable alerts so the weather never takes you by surprise. Plan every day with confidence. Download the free WeatherBug app from the App Store now.
It's Schaeffer and Sliwa. John Schaeffer.
When you think about the city of San Diego, some of the worst ownership groups with the Clippers situation, with the Chargers situation, even the Padres ownership history hasn't always been smooth sailing.
San Diego's own Alan Sliwa.
I felt like we went through a stage of baseball where everything was so predetermined. Why even have a manager? What's the point of having a manager?
Here's Schaeffer and Sliwa.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, hour 3. Schaeffer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760. This hour, your chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to Sesame Place, a family 4-pack of tickets. Be listening for your chance to win those tickets. We will get to the conversation about LeBron's future after the season momentarily. Also, what on earth? We'll get to this later in the hour, Alan, or we could get to it now, because you and I had this conversation yesterday about Dan Hurley and all the theatrics after that ridiculous shot to win, to clinch their ticket to the Final Four. And I mentioned the fact that Dan Hurley headbutted an official, and you're like, what on earth are you talking about?
Yeah, I was like, I genuinely had no idea what you were talking about.
Well, because there was a lot that went on in that moment. I mean, the story was the shot, but then again, the story now is becoming Dan Hurley literally headbutted an official.
I saw the headbutt. I just assumed it was an assistant coach because from what I know, some of the sports I've watched in my life, not sure a head coach can make contact with a referee, let alone just a solid headbutt, and then let's just kind of walk away like nothing happened.
Yeah, we'll discuss that more coming up at 5:30. But again, the Padres getting ready for game 2 of their 3-game series against the San Francisco Giants. The one thing I don't want to hear post-game tonight is anything about Logan. Well, you face Logan Webb, because that's kind of the nature of what we're doing here. If the Padres are fortunate enough to make the postseason, and we're a long way from that. I mean, 158 games, but like we always say this, you're going to face good starting pitching. Yes, they have faced really good pitching. Scooble's as good as they come.
Sure.
Framber Valdez is one of the better pitchers in the American League.
What's the excuse yesterday?
Right. I mean, well, he's had some success. Exactly.
I'm not saying he hasn't, but I'm saying that, like, okay, well, at what point are you going to say, all right, yeah, this is out?
Yeah. So at some point, I would like to see, and I said this Thursday with you downtown before the season even started. At some point, I would like to see a quote unquote good lineup, and I don't know if the Padres have one, but for them to be considered a good lineup along the way, you're going to have to rough up occasionally a good starting pitcher. Not every single time. I get it. It's hard. Might be hard against Paul Skeens. Might be hard against Scooble, Valdez. Could be hard tonight against Logan Webb. But to me, it's one thing to just win a game against some random pitcher along the way. Okay, you're going to stumble into that. They'll show me more by beating a good pitcher like Logan Webb. Like, they need to show me something like that. Will I take a 2-1 win here today on 3 hits? I will. I'll take it. I'm not complaining.
Yep.
But would I like to see them make him labor, have a 25-pitch inning, piecemeal together? Oh, I don't know, a 2-run inning. I think they've had 2 of them. There was the Jackson Merrill home run last night. They had 1 other. A 3-run inning they haven't had as of yet. I'd like to see them do some damage against a good starting pitcher. Am I asking for too much?
Okay, well, let me. You brought something up yesterday. Giants started out the season 0-3.
Yep.
They scored 1 run in 3 games.
Right.
So let's just pretend. Let's add no context to this. And somebody looking at the Giants could be like, "Oh, this is a layup. How great is this? Look how poorly they're playing. Padres can take advantage of them, and maybe the Giants are just awful." You didn't say that. You know what you said? Yeah, they're probably due for a game.
Yeah, I said tough spot for the Padres.
Tough spot for the Padres.
Yeah.
All right, let me give you Logan Webb. in his first start against the New York Yankees. You tell me whether this plays to the Padres' advantage or it doesn't.
Okay.
And Logan Webb, I think we'd all agree, is obviously a stud, a phenomenal pitcher.
Yeah.
All right. 5 innings, gave up 9 hits and 6 earned runs against the New York Yankees. That's his first start, their first start of the season.
Right.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing for the Padres tonight?
I would typically say that is a bad thing.
I'd agree
Would you
with you.
agree?
Yeah, I'd agree with you.
Because it's a bounce back spot.
I agree with you, which is
what
the
it is.
same situation that you walking into the series that you were talking about with the Giants as well.
Which
Kind of
might
a
be the
bounce back.
reason why Nick Pivetta has success tomorrow against San Francisco,
There you go.
potentially.
Sure.
The thing that matters most to me, and multiple people have brought it to our collective attention. You mentioned the fact that, for example, the reason Ramon Laureano isn't playing today, his lifetime numbers against Logan Webb aren't good. He's 0-for-7. The other players, Andahar
7 of 14.
are
Total.
combined 7 of
Yeah.
14. Thank you. So what matters to me is like matchups, obviously. So I'm curious, like Logan Webb in his career against the San Diego Padres. Any guesses? I don't even know if this means anything because the players have come and gone, although some of them are still here. Any guesses on how Logan Webb has fared in his career against the San Diego Padres?
Want to tell me how many starts, or you want me to guess how many
No, just like
W's?
his-
I'll say 2.5 ERA.
He's been really good, not that good, but a 3.15.
Okay.
So you're walking into a guy. It's like all the things that we're talking about. He's coming off a bad outing. He's facing a team. Now, again, he's good. So he's had success a lot against a lot of teams. But this is no longer the small sample size we talked about earlier. He's made 17 career starts against the Padres. He's faced guys like Machado and Tatis and Merrill here over the last couple of years. His career numbers are he's got a 3.15. But that's who he is. So that just goes back to the point that I was trying to make yesterday. And it's not like out of a position of fear, but it's not who you play. You're playing all 29 of these baseball teams.
Yep.
It's when you play them and also what the pitching matchups look like. If you face Pittsburgh without Paul Skeens, as the Padres have done 2 consecutive years, they have not yet faced Paul Skeens in the major leagues. Well, that's fortuitous. When you run into Skeens twice, if you play the Pirates in 2 series this year, that's unlucky, so to speak. So it's a long way of me saying that, yeah, I want to see the best of the Padres today. I know it's only the 31st day of March, but I want to see the best of the Padres today.
I think there's a little bit of, like you mentioned, at the end of the day, they have really done nothing so far this season that you can look at in a week and just say, hey, that was a well-played game, or this part was memorable. It's not like Jackson Merrill's 2-run shot in the 9th yesterday with 2 outs gave them a 3-2 lead. They lost 3-2. It was the only 2 runs that they scored. Yeah, I'm with you on the let's walk into tonight. It sounds so funny to say, but nobody's saying and I know baseball is not played this way. You're not walking in and saying the Padres are desperate for a W. But to start the season out 1-4, and then tomorrow's game becomes, that much more interesting as well, where you can lose 5 of 6 at home to start the season. Let's just not be put into that scenario.
I completely agree. And
it will be tough tonight. I agree with you that you're probably going to get a much better Logan Webb than you got against the Yankees.
The thing is, the way this sport works is you think you know until you don't. We said Scooble Pavetta would be, I said Scooble Pavetta would be 3-2. That's 4-0, 5 minutes in, and tonight, German Marquez, we haven't even mentioned his name, I don't think. Making his first start as a Padre, coming off a horrific train wreck of a season after Tommy John last year. Maybe Marquez matches Logan Webb. Maybe he doesn't. You asked me yesterday, what are your expectations for Walker Buehler? And what I meant by this, it wasn't disparaging. I said, I don't have any expectations because I didn't. And that's basically what he gave you. In my opinion yesterday, there was some good in there. There was some bad in there. He allowed 3 runs in 4 innings for whatever it's worth. That's kind of where I am with German Marquez. I could be convinced of a good outing. I could be convinced of a blah outing.
I don't think I could be convinced of a good outing for either. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
I can't be. Sometimes you can have blind faith.
Right.
Like I know the name Walker Buehler.
Sure.
Come on. I mean, obviously the guy likes the big moments, is clutch, is a fierce competitor. He's also had injuries that typically, change kind of the landscape of what the rest of your career is. There's a reason why He's not getting paid and he's not being given this long-term contract or anything along those lines. So because of that scenario, my expectations for Walker Buehler, last night's start was not I can't believe Walker Buehler went 4 innings and gave up 3 runs. And pretty much that was like, yeah, let's pull this guy. Let's just go straight to the bullpen. That's kind of expected.
Right.
The surprise is Walker Buehler goes 6 innings and gives up 1 or 2 runs. That would be the surprise. So I think based off of when you said I have no expectations, I disagree on that. I have expectations. I don't know how
you expected it to go poorly.
I'm expecting him to. I don't have faith that Walker Buehler is going to be. I don't have faith that Marquez is going to be this unbelievable pitcher for the Padres. Now you say Randy Vasquez, I'm going to have a completely different conversation. I like the trajectory of where he's going. I like him as a third. He might be the 3rd best starter for the Padres with Joe Musgrove in there. I mean, I think that could be very well likely.
Second best.
Could be second best.
Yeah.
Some of the back half of these starters, we're going to have to see it to believe it. And that's going to take some time. It's going to take 5-6 starts to have an idea what they're going to be.
The loser of tonight's game,
yeah,
whether it's San Francisco or San Diego, is 1-4, right? Mm-hmm. Both of these teams are 1-3, right?
Yeah, both. They get their first win yesterday.
It'll again, it's like I said earlier, managing the big leagues. For me, I don't want that gig. There's a lot that goes into it. It's kind of you're damned if you do or don't.
For what they get paid, I think you would manage. I think you'd be okay with grabbing the gig.
I mean, shoot, Dave Roberts is the winningest manager in baseball history. Mm-hmm. He's by and large been vilified throughout portions of his career. Maybe some of that has changed, obviously, over the last 2 years. But you get my point that even a manager winning at a 65% clip can do no right oftentimes.
But here's the issue with that. Because I was in LA when all that was going on. Right.
Postseason. Yep.
They are so stacked. Not every team is created equal. So if you're Dave Roberts and you're managing the Dodgers, you don't have any excuses.
Right, you have to win.
And frankly, I don't know what would have happened, but if the Padres wrapped it up in 4 in San Diego,
I remember that conversation.
I don't think you can make the case at that time to keep him. I don't think you could have made the case to keep him. I think you would have just said, listen, we've kind of been going through this all the time here. We're just have to try something different just to try something different. And people would say, well, he's not even making the decisions and all that stuff. At the end of the day, that's your manager. So you would probably, now the Padres didn't close it out in 4. They didn't close it out in 5. And this kind of has started this, obviously this streak for the Dodgers. But at the same time, I don't think every managerial position is created equal. And if you're stacked, you're expected to win. And, clearly what they have over there, it's different than trying to compare to some of the other managerial opportunities.
Agreed. I would just say this. If you're Craig Stammen and you lose tonight, don't go to Twitter. And if you're Tony Vitello and you lose tonight, as ridiculous as that sounds, you don't go to Twitter. I'd one other
Go to the wrap-up show.
Go to the wrap-up show. My final point on that, right, there's a world where Dave Roberts is let go if the Padres win that series. Yes. I don't even know what happens with the Padres. Think about that glass door moment in time. Dave Roberts potentially let go. Who knows what happens with the Padres that season? Instead, the opposite happens, and Dave Roberts, as we sit here today, will be a Hall of Fame manager.
Yeah,
as we sit here today, I don't think anything changes that. All right, the latest with LeBron's future on the other side. Plus, what on earth was Dan Hurley doing after that memorable moment?
Who doesn't headbutt during a game?
Who does that? We'll discuss coming up next on Schaeffer and Sliwa on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, San Diego Sports 760. Where are you? How are
happened?
you not on the screen? On my screen? Oh, there you are. I'm sorry. My computer froze. You weren't there for a moment. All right, Josh Schaeffer, Alan Sliwa. It was very odd because I was looking at you, but I was looking at my screen and it was just empty.
John has told me before, I don't know if you know this, Brent. He said sometimes don't actually make eye contact with me. Just look at the YouTube screen. So
yeah, right.
I'm out of respect. Out of respect.
All right, we're going to we're going to bounce around what played out at the end of that UConn game the other day. That was just insane. We'll talk about that coming up in about 10 minutes. You can hear the Lakers tonight. Cavs and Lakers coming up at 7:15 on San Diego Sports 760. You made this point to me off air, and I want to hear more about it. I mean, the Lakers have obviously played much better basketball here late because they've just been beating good teams. I feel like in the first half of the year, they had a good winning percentage, but against the good teams, they were losing. Against the bad teams,
no, they're getting their asses kicked. Yeah.
Okay. So all of a sudden, that conversation has changed. LeBron's future, obviously, is a big topic of conversation, not just with Lakers fans, but in the NBA. The way the Lakers are playing here down the stretch, what does that mean for LeBron's future with the Lakers next year?
So weird. 30 days ago, if you asked me the question a month ago, we have an association with a sports radio station in LA, another iHeart radio station, sports station up in Los Angeles. And with some of the work that I do some call-ins with them. I still cover the team, the Lakers and everything else. And I remember 30 days ago having a conversation. I'm like, guys, that's enough. LeBron's been here for 8 years in Los Angeles. 8 years as a Laker.
No way.
How about that?
No way.
How about this is the longest stint he's had with any franchise. Now, yes, he's been in Cleveland, but he's done 2 separate stints. If I'm right, I think I'm almost 100% on that. But 2 separate stints with the Cleveland Cavaliers. He's never gone 8 years with a team. Miami, he was there for 4 years. LeBron's been in the NBA since 1974. Does it not feel like that?
Hold on. This is so ridiculous. I know you have spent your career covering the Lakers, but I can't wait to look at his basketball reference page. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
It's his 8th year. He's been in LA longer than Manny Machado has been with the Padres.
This is Manny's 8th, right?
Oh, is that right?
No, actually, no.
21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Yes.
This is his 8th.
But yeah, that means LeBron is completing his 8th year. Manny's starting his 8th year, right?
LeBron was a Laker when Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram.
Was he a Laker when they were in Minneapolis?
Yes, that was his first year.
Was that his second
year? That was his first year.
Him and George Mikan had awesome chemistry.
So him and Jerry West did not get along when they played together.
Remember when they played KD in the Sonics? In Minneapolis, that thing was insane. But 8 years, dude, that's crazy.
So but I was making the argument. It is crazy and it's wild to think. And a lot of this has to do with just how long LeBron's been in the league.
True.
23 years in the NBA. And I'm making the case and, I'm on 570 in Los Angeles and I'm like, guys, that's enough. The guy's been with the team for X amount of years. You got to rebuild with Luka.
Right.
Like the NBA clearly just, conspiracy theory found a way to give you Luka Doncic. Go ahead and build around Luka.
Right.
Like it's time.
Pretty clear.
30 days ago, that's my conversation. And it, honestly, it was no disrespect to LeBron. It more had to do with like, that's it. It's over. Then you fast forward 30 days. The Lakers play 17 games in the month of March. They're 14-2. This is the final game in the month of March. Wow. And LeBron has had a lot to do with that. Not because he's taken the most shots, not because he's doing this or doing that. Luka has monster numbers. He's been phenomenal. But what happened is LeBron decided, all right, I got to play a different role for the Lakers, and he's excelled at it. He's been phenomenal. I was doing my show this morning. For those who are big NBA fans or Laker fans, I do a show every morning at 8 a.m. called Hoops Talk and just talking on YouTube about the Lakers and NBA. So I have somebody on from the Cavs because the Lakers got the Cavs tonight. And I'm asking the question like, hey, 30 days ago, I'm like, hey, why don't you just go to Cleveland and end your career there? Now do the Lakers want to bring him back? How much leverage does LeBron have? Does LeBron want to go to Cleveland? What's all of a sudden been created by LeBron in this 30-day span is I got some leverage too in this. And if you're the Lakers, are you sure you're better off with me? If you can't sign at the same contract, you can't come in at 52, you can't come in at 40, can't come in probably at $30 million, but can you get LeBron for 20? And if you can, how many teams now all of a sudden want to get into the LeBron business?
That is pretty fascinating. Two things that shocked me were the 8 years of LeBron in LA and the fact that they're 14-2 in March.
Against good teams too.
And all of a sudden, and here's my one point I would make about LeBron's next year. That to me, I can't go down that path until I see how this finishes. Right? Because what if the way this plays out is like last year, like you said with Redick, where they're out in 5 games, and maybe not. What if they're out in the Western Conference semifinals? Because to your point, they'll likely play San Antonio. Now maybe
it's a tough battle, and you go
maybe
6.
they win it. Maybe they,
Sure.
Right. So there's a big difference between what if you win it, and now you're in the Western Conference Finals, and there's a big difference between what if you get swept by the Spurs? Yeah, you made the Western Conference semifinals, but it wasn't competitive, or they lost in 5 games. Does that then change the tune on what to do with him moving forward?
They had a couple years ago where they got to the Western Conference Finals. They played Denver.
Yeah, I remember that.
But the path they had there was a little deceiving of a path.
Right.
You got to Denver. Denver beat the Lakers in 4 games. Okay.
Right.
Like you do it again. They run it back the next year. They're out in the first round against Denver in 5 games. So it kind of just depended on when you played a certain team and everything else. But that piece I think will be fascinating. And I think anybody that's, we were talking about Tiger Woods a little bit earlier. For anybody that's just a fan of any sport, try to appreciate some of these greats because you don't know how much you're going to get a chance to see them. And I know there's always a lot of criticism that comes with LeBron. Either people love him or they hate him. It's one of the two. I don't feel like there's anybody in the middle. He's in his 23rd freaking year in the NBA. He had a triple-double last night. Just try to, as best as you can, appreciate some of these greats.
Then let me ask you this. Simple question without a simple answer, and it's maybe not for today. But in 30 or 60 seconds, this is the question that's been asked for forever with LeBron in LA. Why is it he's always an outsider? How is it that I don't know he's been there 8 years? Why 8 years he's an outsider, correct? Most Laker fans would tell you he's not in that inner circle, the greatest of the greats in the history.
Yeah.
Why?
The problem is you're trying to compare him. You just can't compare him with Magic Johnson, who never played another jersey.
Right. Kobe.
You can't compare him to Kobe, who played another jersey. You can't compare him to Kareem, that had 5 championships. You can't compare him. The closest comparison you can make is Shaq. Well, Shaq had 3 NBA championships for the Lakers and 3 Finals MVPs.
Right. And he's got one in a bubble.
And he also has, and LeBron has these wild swings with the Lakers where you won a championship or you didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah, that's true.
There are wild swings. So that has something to do with it.
That's a good answer. All right. On the other side, what played out in the Elite 8 with UConn? That memorable shot should have been the story, but what's become the story is what Dan Hurley did in the immediate aftermath of that shot. We'll discuss it more on the other side here until 6 p.m. We'll give away a 4-pack of tickets to Sesame Place coming up as well on Schaeffer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, and live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by Burger King. The Padres and the Giants are getting ready for game 2 of their 3-game set down at Petco Park tonight. It's going to be Logan Webb going for the Giants and German Marquez going for the Friars. First pitch is set for 6:40. In golf news, Tiger Woods announced today that he's stepping away from golf to seek treatment. He also pled not guilty to his DUI rollover accident the other day. Tonight, we have Lakers basketball on San Diego Sports 760 when they take on the Cavaliers. Our pregame coverage will begin at 7:15, and we'll have the tip a little after 7:30. Burger King has been working on the Whopper, and thanks to you, it's never tasted better. Flame-grilled beef, crisp produce, and a perfectly toasted bun. Whether it's been weeks or years, come try the Whopper again for only $3.99 on Whopper Wednesday. Terms apply. Visit bk.com/terms.
All right, San Diego Sports 760, Schaeffer and Sliwa on this Tuesday afternoon with you until 6 p.m. We'll give away a 4-pack of tickets to Sesame Place coming up. All right, so the Connecticut Duke game is an all-timer. I've seen all these lists, obviously, over the last 48 hours. Where does this game rank? Who even cares? It's an all-timer.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if
I did my ranking. I did a
where do you put
top
it?
180.
Is it in the top 22?
Because Connecticut won, 180.
Number 180.
180.
Exactly. Because you hate Connecticut.
Yeah.
I like that. But we all agree.
We have to hate.
We all agree.
We have to hate.
It's a great shot.
Yeah.
It's a great shot. In all of the craziness of this turnover and shot with 0.3 seconds to go that gives UConn a 1-point lead, this iconic shot in college basketball history. It's so crazy that lost in the shuffle of all of this is veteran official Roger Ayers came over to Dan Hurley.
What is this?
And told him how much time would be on the clock, either 0.3 or 0.4 seconds. I think ultimately they determined 0.4. And Dan Hurley was in such a frenetic state, literally out of his mind. He headbutted Roger Ayers. Ayers came up to him within a foot of him, and then Hurley got into him by leaning forward with his head. Now, have you seen worse headbutts? Of course. But they made contact with each other. Hurley initiated it for probably a second or a second and a half. Obviously, we know the end story, Alan. There was no technical. If there was, can you imagine? Can you imagine that story? But now Roger Ayers will not work the Final Four. He's worked 7 in his career. And the perception coming out of this is why did it play out in that manner? Are Roger Ayers and Dan Hurley friends that could play out and Hurley not be teed up? There's more questions coming out of that than answers 2 days later.
Let's get, which I don't think this is breaking news. What's wrong with Hurley?
And you're seriously asking that question.
What's wrong with this guy? And by the way, that doesn't mean that he's not a brilliant head coach and he doesn't get his players to play for him. And UConn, an incredible program.
Yeah.
What the hell is wrong with this guy? I'm not kidding when I tell you this. Yesterday when you told me he headbutted.
You're what are you talking about?
I had no idea what you were talking about. I just was wondering why his jacket was hanging a little bit. I'm put your jacket back.
Yeah.
Up. Anyways.
Yep.
So
that was from an assistant coach.
That was an assistant who grabbed it. Yeah. Okay. So I just assumed whatever interaction that was one of the assistant coaches. Find out that it's the referee.
Yep.
Okay. Let me read a quote for you. Really, at this point in the game, we had it won. And Ayers is such an easy guy to work with during the game. And I thought he was coming over to chest bump me to celebrate the shot. What am I missing here? What are these guys? Is your buddy here? By the way,
I said that seriously. I won't put that past him that he was serious in saying that.
Okay. Well, it sounds serious to me. I'll say this as well. He says, my experience with him has been, we haven't won every game. I haven't agreed with every call, but in no way was that to me and a ref. I had been at their throat the whole game. He goes on saying, there were other points in the game where I had my arm around him, walking out of a timeout. We were cracking jokes and laughing. Brother, I'm so confused. I'm genuinely confused. I would say this. Remember we played the call yesterday from the Duke, the Duke side of it.
Yeah.
And immediately the Duke guy was like, he stepped over the line. You know that he's talking about.
The sixth man is on the floor.
Sixth man's on the floor.
On the floor. It should be a technical.
If he would have said Dan Hurley just headbutted a referee, I would have said, let's just call it any other referee that it was. And the referee just said, Hey, I know you're excited and I know you're in the moment. You made contact with me. I'm a referee. That's a technical foul. That's 2 free throws for Duke the other way. I wouldn't be surprised or shocked. I still don't understand the story. I still don't understand the headbutt. And then I don't understand Dan Hurley basically saying they were cracking jokes together. And now this guy, how many Final Fours has he worked?
7.
So now he's not working the Final Four because of this?
Potentially. Nobody knows if that's the reason or not. Now, I would say this.
He's worked 7
put
of
2
them.
and 2 together. He should not be working UConn games moving forward because this is such a high-profile story. That's problematic. Moving
Are we
forward.
making something like? Am I crazy here
No,
to?
Here's the problem.
Connect dots.
Here's the problem. If this happened with any other coach, they'd be teed up. But because Dan Hurley is that individual, this is not the first time he's had this level of antics. I remember he was kicking and throwing things in Maui during the Maui Invitational 2 years ago, like this big sore loser coming off a national championship, and they lost a date and he got tossed, threw his jacket, threw everything, made this. But it's like because Dan Hurley takes it to the nth degree, when he takes it up to the nth degree, it's like he gets away with it. If this played out with John Shire, if John Shire headbutt an official, mild-mannered John Shire, I bet he'd be teed up. If that happened with Brian Dutcher, who would never act in that manner ever, I think because it would be out of character, he'd be teed up. But because it's Dan Hurley, it's like, well, it's Dan Hurley.
You know what I hate about those rules? Let's say there's a player, let's use if Manny Machado says something to an
umpire
versus if Jake Cronenworth
that's where I was
says something to an ump. Cronenworth might get thrown out quicker. Here, this is kind of like the Machado. It's like, yeah, but he's kind of known for running his mouth, or he might be show a little bit more emotion. I don't know if that's a great example, but the fact that Dan Hurley is treated differently, or in the NBA, you could say, well, Draymond Green can get away with a lot more because he's always teed up, because he's always getting thrown out of games. He can get away with more than somebody else kind of out of nowhere having this quick burst. Like you mentioned, Dutcher,
Right.
you're watching some of these guys. I still don't understand the story. It's a really, really odd story. And what makes it very odd is they pulled that ref from the Final Four.
The other thing, though, to your point, is like, couldn't the opposite be true? Because Machado's got a reputation that isn't good.
So he's out quick.
Yeah, so he gets run quicker.
Sure.
Now, maybe not by all umpires, but there's probably an umpire in there that's like, his reputation is all I need to know to run him. But I think to your point, it probably goes both ways.
I think the dumbest thing about his whole chest bump comment was, where's your president for that? Tell me another time when an official went up and chest bumped a head coach because he was celebrating them making a game.
It's never happened.
That's my point.
Yeah.
Is refs aren't allowed to celebrate teams winning. You're supposed to be impartial.
Yeah.
So where the hell are you getting?
I can't even do this.
Yeah.
Well,
so
you
where are
made
you
the
getting?
point-
Like, imagine a strike 3 from an ump.
And he's
then-
like high five.
I'm the catcher.
Bueller, the catcher. What? It's
Otani hits a home run. They're like, yeah.
Yeah. We made the point before the show. I'm like, Dan Hurley could never coach in the NBA. Sorry, he can't. There is it's hard enough for him to coach in college. Like, this will not end the way it is currently with UConn. You see what I'm saying? I think the only way it ends with Hurley and UConn is disastrous. Like, I don't think you just ride off into the sunset winning a national championship with this guy. Listen, his resume, to your point, his coaching acumen speaks for itself. You cannot take anything away from that. But the manner in which he does it is so incredibly unlikable. And I think it's going to just, like, when it goes down, it will go down in flames on the way out.
I think he likes all this.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't think he cares about it. I think he loves that you and I, every time we mention him, because we've been mentioning him, that we despise him. And I think there's some people just that love that attention and they're okay with it. He's one of them. How it ends, I don't know. But I don't think there's anybody at UConn. Here's how it ends. All of a sudden, they're not winning. And all of a sudden, the antics are not worth the headache.
That's kind of what's going to happen.
But at this stage, it's like, yeah, you go ahead and get away with whatever you want. I'll use the Draymond Green as an example. The Draymond Green piece of like, how does this guy get away with everything and it's okay? Or a video comes out of him knocking out one of his players and it's like, yeah, well, maybe Jordan Poole said something. I'm like, what? I don't understand any of the narrative. as long as you're winning. When you're not winning, those antics are a lot different.
Completely agree. And to his credit, I mean,
They're winning.
They're winning. And shoot, he might win another national championship. It would be surprising, but would it be? Would it
No,
be?
would it? It wouldn't, because you just, it can't be. You've already
It's
won
UConn.
2 of the last
three.
So it genuinely cannot be a surprise, even if they were to beat Michigan or Arizona, if they get past the line.
Completely agree. All right. We still have this family 4-pack of tickets to Sesame Place. We'll give them away on the other side. So we've got a family 4-pack of tickets to Sesame Place. Great giveaway. We'll do that on the other side. Again, the Padres getting ready for the Giants tonight, game 2 of their 3-game series. We should note, Jesse Rogers, ESPN Major League Baseball reporter, will be on the show on Friday. So Jesse Rogers, who works with Jeff Passan at ESPN, will be on the show coming up on Friday. And a good friend of the show or the station, Mike Farron, MLB Network Radio, will be on the show coming up next week as well. But we'll give away that family 4-pack of tickets to Sesame Place. Getting you ready for tonight, much more here on Schaeffer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, San Diego Sports 760, Schaeffer and Sliwa, final time here on this Tuesday afternoon. We will have a podcast. I don't know if we have one as of yet. We do. We have a podcast page.
All right.
So search for Schaeffer and Sliwa on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts, which is probably on the iHeartRadio app. And you will find every hour of this show and our interviews as well. So search for Schaeffer and Sliwa on the iHeartRadio app.
I will say, of all the shows we've ever done together,
Is this the best one?
I think this is the best one.
I'd go with last Thursday.
You go last Thursday.
It's top 2.
It's top 3 based on last Thursday.
Does Thursday count?
Nah, it's top 2. I agree.
It was like a rain out. Like we had like 5 innings.
Felt like a rain out watching opening day.
Yep.
Call right now if you want a family 4-pack of tickets to Sesame Place. Caller 4, you are going 877-767-4760. If you want a free family 4-pack of tickets to Sesame Place, call right now 877-767-4760. Sesame Place back and turning 4. And guests are invited to a birthday bash full of laughter, hugs, and furry fun. Open daily now through April 5th for spring break. Families can enjoy rides, the Sesame Street Party Parade, story time with Big Bird, and more. Get tickets at sesameplace.com if you want a free 4-pack of tickets. Absolutely free. Call 877-767-4760. All right. So, again, we've been getting you ready. The question I actually posed today in our stream, I don't know if we've gotten to this exact question over the course of 3 hours, is can the Padres offense be fixed? And my short answer is, of course, yes. But it does need to be fixed. Like Kevin Acee wrote today in his newsletter, what they're hitting. And again, it's 4 games, but none of it is encouraging is the point. I don't think we're looking at some, historically bad offense. Now, they weren't a good offense last year. But yeah, can the Padres offense be fixed? I think maybe the better question is, can the Padres offense be better than what we've seen? And unequivocally, the answer is yes. Will we see it tonight? I really have no idea.
I don't know if this is, and it could be from AC's article. I know it was on the UT, but their 192 batting average, runners in scoring position, ranks 23rd. All right, very early. Just gives you an idea. Yep. 29 plate appearances in that circumstance, ranked 24th. I think this was for yesterday specifically. They chased 42% of the pitches they saw outside the strike zone, bringing their season total to nearly 36%, which is bottom 5 in MLB. Their offense has been obviously really bad.
Yeah.
And there are numbers and stats, and whether it is chasing or whether it is, I'm of course, I'm not going to call it pressing or anything, but they can have tonight. Tatis can go 3 for 4. Machado could go 2 for 4. Sheets could get a couple of hits. A couple of these guys can, get rolling, and all the numbers change. That's how, I loved what you said yesterday about if somebody at the free throw line in the first 2 games shoots 50%, doesn't mean they're a 50% free throw shooter.
Or does it mean they're 1 of 2?
Or does it mean they're 1 of 2? Yeah. So but again, I think we go back to it. It is the storyline, and that's fine. We're going to do a show daily. We're going to analyze the Padres on a daily basis. And when they deserve credit, we give them credit. And when they deserve to be talked about based off of what they've done, we got to do it.
I mean, they've hit 181 as a team. Like that's all you need to know. The 4 games they've played, they've gotten to hit 18% of the time.
Yeah.
Right? They're hitting 181 as a team, and they've played in front of 45,000 people for 4 consecutive days. So how about just a little more than that tonight is what I'd hope for. Now, it is Logan Webb, and it's not going to be easy.
No, it won't.
But again, it's like you win today, and all of a sudden things look a lot better than they probably looked prior to the game. You lose today, and it's the same old questions for another 24 hours.
You're 1 of 4.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Listen, I go back to it. I think there is, you don't want to dig yourself. You don't want to dig yourself a hole. And if they lose tonight because Logan Webb is a really good pitcher and just does what he does, and the Padres only score 2 runs again, and it's just this, how many runs have they scored now in total? Is it maybe 9 runs in the course of 4 games?
Yep.
And it plays out that way. You're 1 and 4, and all of a sudden we're sitting here and we're having another conversation of like, hey, they can't start 1 and 5. Like there is elements that, start to mount, and hopefully these players aren't too concerned about it, but they just get on track. That's all.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, because by the time we're on the air tomorrow, and tomorrow, of course, is April Fool's Day, but this show is real, right? We're not going to come on the air tomorrow and be like,
that's it.
Oh, it was the greatest joke of all time.
Yeah.
We just did a 2-day show. It was incredible. What we just
not even an employee of iHeart.
Right. You're just here.
Yeah.
But by the time we're on the air, basically tomorrow, we'll they'll have played again because they're playing tomorrow in the afternoon. And then they go to the road for the first time this year. But I'll tell you what, man, I said before the start of the season, I think you heard me maybe say Thursday, nothing is more of a roller coaster than a baseball season for 29 of the 30 teams, even all 30. You know what I mean? Even
from
if
a fan perspective or a player? Oh, a fan.
Maybe honestly,
no, but
media.
A fan perspective, you're right.
Dude.
There is this roller coaster of Padres would blow a lead last year. And I'm like, how the hell could it happen? The very next day they win. I'm like, guys, everything's okay.
Or even like the Dodgers. I mean, they have starting pitching injuries left and right last year. Their bullpen can't hit the side of a barn. It felt like in the second half of the year. Their bullpen was completely untrustworthy in the heading into the postseason. And then their bullpen's unbelievable.
But you know what's funny is as much as that team to me, you can't equate with any other teams because they have so many a plan B, C, D, E. So it just kind of goes further and further down the list. I actually thought when the season was going on last year and a lot of their starters were out or they would have Snell out or Yamamoto or something like that. In my head, I'm like, yeah, this is only going to work to their advantage once they get to the postseason. These guys are going to be so fresh and they still have runway and they can come back in September and do it.
That's what happened.
And Toronto choked.
Yeah,
Freaking had it, man.
Yeah.
We had it for a solid week and a half. I've never been such a bigger
Blue Jay fan.
I was all in.
I mean, what was a bigger choke? Blue Jays 2025 or Padres 2024?
I think Blue Jays.
I think so too. Honestly,
Blue Jays.
Honestly, it was because you're leading in the 9th inning of Game 7 of the World Series.
This is the only thing I didn't like about, this narrative. Let me try to explain this properly. I'm not saying the Padres didn't choke.
Right.
But to ask a team with that talent to win 2 games in a row or just win 1 in San Diego to get it back in LA, that's not like that's the biggest challenge out there.
They weren't down 3-0 in the best.
They're not down 3. And it's not
5-1.
Arizona going up against a dominant team like LA. Like this. Clearly, the Dodgers were good enough to win that series.
And here's the other thing about that series.
But that was a window that you obviously had a window there.
But here's the other thing about that series. It's not like, I do think they choked because they didn't score a run for a million innings.
That part you're right about.
But
that I can't argue.
But they didn't lead like 4-1 in the 6th inning of Game 4.
No.
That to me is a choke.
Yeah.
Like you're in position to move on.
And that was more Toronto.
That was Toronto. And that's why to me, it's way more, both have had hangovers. Or to me, if you're a fan, there's a big hangover from 2024 Padres against the Dodgers. If you're a Blue Jays fan, how could there not be a hangover from losing in Game 7? I would argue from a fan perspective, I think Game 7 of the Blue Jays, from the Blue Jays perspective, is way worse than Game 5 from the Padres perspective. Padres didn't do anything.
And you still had to go beat the Mets, and then you still had to go beat the Yankees. I mean, I'm sure the Mets were confident they could take on the Padres. I'm sure the Yankees were confident that they could take on the Padres.
Right.
So even if they were the favorites, you had so many more routes that you had to take. I mean, how excited Padres a few years ago beating the Dodgers, and then you got Philly next.
I know.
So it's like, and Philadelphia ends up winning that series in 5. What did it guarantee you when you won that series against the Dodgers? It didn't guarantee you anything.
Right. Yeah, it's a really good point. Dave Fleming made the point yesterday, which I do like, because you talk about this like there's an inevitability to the Dodgers. He's like, not so fast. Yeah, they've won them. They did. They won 2024 fair and square. Wasn't easy. He made this point. We've all made it as well. 2025, they won it. It wasn't easy. We would all take it. I'll take the Padres winning a World Series in tough fashion, so to speak. But I guess the point is they're not inevitably winning another World Series. Doesn't mean they won't, but they're not inevitably.
But, and I listened to him make that point yesterday, and I actually, to be honest, I disagreed with the concept that he had in mind because, again, they're just stacking more. And I think the more, when you get one, it makes it easier to get the second. I think the fact that they got the second makes it easier to get the third.
Want to do it again tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll let you know. I'll text you.
All right. Tomorrow at 3 p.m.
Yes,
we will be here. April Fool's Day in San Diego, recapping the Padres and Giants series that will continue here. Isn't tomorrow April 1st?
Yeah, April 1st.
Yeah, it is. You know me. I'm such a big jokester.
You can only imagine everything. Yeah.
At 3 p.m. All right.
Tune
if you
in.
missed anything today, check out the iHeartRadio app, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, or Spotify. Search for Schaeffer and Sliwa. For Brent and Alan, I'm John. Keep it here. This is San Diego Sports 760. We're live on the iHeartRadio app.